Chapter 2360. Is that so? You can try. Lin Xian's eyes turned cold. In the next moment, he held the ancient sword and slashed at the sage's hand bone. Damn brat! How dare you? Seeing this, Zhang Wuhan's expression changed again. He controlled the six directions ancient mirror and unleashed a sky full of light that enveloped him. At the same time, he frantically retreated. He had no choice. The collision of auras and slashing at it were two completely different things. Although the previous impact was fierce, Zhang Wuhan was able to withstand it with the invincible armor and the six directions ancient mirror in his hand. However, it was different now. When the sword slashed at the sage's hand bone, it completely activated the power of the sage's hand bone. Even if he had the invincible armor, it would not work. After all, he was not a true invincible king. However, he could not care less now. The energy in his body surged out crazily and poured into the invincible armor and the ancient mirror in his hand. At this moment, he even activated the power of his bloodline. As soon as he moved, a violent energy surged over. It hit him. Boom, boom, boom. The invincible armor shone brightly, forming a terrifying defense. The six directions ancient mirror in his hand also released tens of thousands of auras. Boom, boom. The collision of the two was earth-shattering. However, Zhang Wuhan was still instantly engulfed. On the other side, Lin Xian was also affected. The great dragon sword soul in his body surged out and enveloped him. At the same time, the black earth blocked in front of him. It kept expanding until it turned into a black mountain. Crack, crack. The crimson dragon used a secret technique, and the dragon blood in his body surged. In a flash, he came to Lin Xian's side and unleashed a sky full of arrays to resist the terrifying aura in front of him. In the next moment, he was also engulfed by the sage's light. The sage's light was too terrifying. It spread out in all directions, 100,000 miles, 200,000 miles, 500,000 miles. It was completely enveloped within a radius of 500,000 miles. The world changed drastically. Mountains and rivers collapsed in an instant. Cracks appeared in the sky, and the earth were formed. A terrifying explosion rang out, and shock waves filled the sky, spreading out in all directions. Everyone within a radius of 1,000,000 miles sensed it. They all looked up in horror when they saw the resplendent light in the distance, as well as the terrifying aura emitting from it. Everyone felt their scalps go numb. In the nearby cities, the top experts all rose into the air. Their faces were filled with fear. Damn it! Who was fighting? What a terrifying aura! Some of the older generation figures also walked out one after another. Even the living fossil old men could no longer remain calm. At this moment, everyone was paying close attention. However, no one dared to step forward. His injuries were more serious, but fortunately, he had the great dragon sword soul to protect his body and block the pressure of the sage. Damn it, he's not dead. Seeing this, Zhang Wuhan's face immediately darkened. He did not expect the two of them to survive. This really surprised him. How did they survive? He was too shocked. One had to know that he could survive because he was wearing the invincible armor and had the six directions ancient mirror. As for the other party, their black earth had been sealed, and the sage's hand bone did not help them. Apart from an ancient sword, there was probably nothing else in it. But how did they survive? Damn it! What exactly is that sword's shadow on them? Zhang Wuhan's face was extremely gloomy. He still did not suspect that it was the great dragon sword soul. After all, he did not think in that direction at all. Previously, the Golden Lion King had discovered it because Lin Xian had directly simulated many of the war tribes' great mystiques, which made the Golden Lion King suspicious. In the previous battle with Zhang Wuhan, the two of them had directly used their trump cards, so Zhang Wuhan still did not know. Damn it, they're not dead. So what? I can kill them with my own hands. Zhang Wuhan gritted his teeth and crazily swallowed pills again. As an elite of the war tribe, he had a lot of resources in his hands. At this moment, he wanted to recover as soon as possible and kill the other party with his own hands. Damn it, that guy is not dead. The Crimson Dragon looked around and immediately discovered Zhang Wuhan. It immediately screamed. Lin Xian's face also darkened. This was not good news. Damn it, he's swallowing pills. Damn it, should I attack now? The Crimson Dragon swung its tail and wanted to fly over. Chapter 2361. Damn it, he's swallowing pills. Damn it, should we attack now? The Crimson Dragon waved its tail, wanting to fly over. However, before it could fly, it fell to the ground with a thud. Damn it, Ben Huang's injuries are too severe. Wooji wooji. The little white monkey also lowered its head and lay on Lin Xian's shoulder, unwilling to move. Forget it, let's recover first. Lin Xian took out the remaining pills and swallowed them. Now that the Black Earth had been sealed, he didn't have many pills and treasures left in his possession. Most of them were inside the Black Earth. He could not take them now. He could only use the longevity incantation to swallow the remaining pills and absorb the surrounding spirit qi. However, his injuries were too severe. Moreover, Zhang Wuhan also had the magical pills of the battle tribe. Therefore, before long, Zhang Wuhan stood up, pulled out a long golden saber, and walked over. Although he walked unsteadily, the killing intent on his body became more and more intense. Boom. However, after taking 2 steps, an explosion came from the sky. Immediately after, a ray of light descended from the sky. Damn it, someone's coming. Seeing this, Zhang Wuhan immediately stopped in his tracks. His eyes were cold as he looked in front of him in shock. He gripped the 6 directions ancient mirror in his hand tightly, and the golden armor on his body quickly covered him. What a joke! He was seriously injured now. He might not even be able to defeat a powerful being. If the other party killed him and took his treasures, he would suffer a great loss. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon also became nervous. They were in the same state. The ray of light in the sky quickly pressed down. It was also a spirit boat. At this moment, there were a few figures standing on it with cold expressions. There were many of them. This scene made Zhang Wuhan and Lin Xian frown. The spirit boat floated in the air. The people on it glanced at Zhang Wuhan, Lin Xian, and the Crimson Dragon. Then they stared at the Black Earth. Among them, an old man walked out and waved his hand. Immediately, the Black Earth floated in the air and flew towards their spirit boat. Damn it, what's going on? Could it be that they wanted to snatch the Black Earth? Seeing this, the Crimson Dragon was enraged, and Lin Xian's face was gloomy. On the other side, Zhang Wuhan also frowned. This was because he had already treated the Black Earth as his spoils of war. Now, someone actually wanted to interfere. This was something he couldn't tolerate. For a moment, all 3 of them looked up at the sky. However, the old man in the sky snorted coldly. He actually dared to seal it. He was really courting death. As he spoke, the old man's 5 fingers formed a claw and grabbed forward. Instantly, the 5-element seal was crushed. What? So powerful! Seeing this, the Crimson Dragon, Lin Xian, and Zhang Wuhan were shocked. They didn't act rashly, because the other party was able to break the 5-element seal with a single grab. This was indeed beyond their expectations. Especially the Crimson Dragon and Zhang Wuhan, their expressions were even uglier. Both of them knew very well how terrifying the 5-element seal was. Who exactly was the other party? After the 5-element seal was broken, the Black Earth's voice sounded. "Kid, are you all right?" At the same time, a figure flew out. Naturally, it was Xia Xingchen. However, when the old man saw Xia Xingchen, he was also excited. "Little Grand Aunt, I've finally found you. Why are you here?" Xia Xingchen looked at the old man and the people on the spirit boat behind him and said casually, "Don't worry." Her big eyes narrowed into crescents. Damn it, they actually know each other. Seeing this, Jean Wuhan's face darkened, and he took a few steps back. On the other hand, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon heaved a sigh of relief. They could tell that these people were here to look for Xia Xingchen. Thinking of this, a smile appeared on their faces. "That's great. Little Grand, and where did you run off to?" the old man asked worriedly. A few young men also walked out of the spirit boat behind them. They stared at Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon and said coldly, "Is it these two kids? How dare you capture our miss? You're dead meat." With that said, their bodies emitted a biting cold killing intent. "No, it's not them," Xia Xingchen said. "Stop it, it's not them. I was captured by a few big bad guys, and Big Brother Lin saved me." "That kid saved you? Then how did you get sealed?" The few of them frowned. This was because the spirit boat from before had a powerful seal placed on it. Ordinary almighties wouldn't be able to open it. It was all because of that bad guy. Xia Xingchen pointed at Jean Wuhan. This guy was a big bad guy. He was the one who sealed the spirit boat. Hearing this, the old man and the few young men behind him shifted their gazes from Lin Xian to Jean Wuhan. Soon, their pupils constricted. The invincible armor. The few young men's eyes burned with passion, but the old man frowned. "Who are you?" "Humph," Jean Wuhan snorted, and the invincible armor on his body shone brightly. At the same time, the Six Harmonies mirror floated above his head, emitting a sage's aura. Feeling this aura, the few young men and the old man frowned. "Damn it, hurry up and protect Miss." They shielded Xia Xingchen behind them. However, at this moment, another figure walked out of the spirit boat. It was an old man with a head full of white hair and a white beard. He was leaning on a walking stick. He didn't have any terrifying aura, just like an ordinary grandpa next door. However, the moment he came out, the pressure of the sage's aura disappeared instantly. "Grandpa, you're here too." Seeing this old man, Xia Xingchen flew over happily. "You little girl, you always make people worry about you." The old man rubbed Xia Xingchen's head dotingly. Then he waved his sleeve and countless runes appeared, completely sealing the sage's hand bone that was still floating in the air. "What?" Seeing this, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon were shocked. As for Jean Wuhan, his pupils constricted. "Heavens, who is this person?" He sealed the sage's hand bone with a raise of his hand. Needless to say, the other party must have surpassed the Almighty. It was very likely that he was an invincible king. Thinking of this, Jean Wuhan tensed up as if he was facing a great enemy. However, the old man looked at him and said calmly, "People of the war tribe, you finally can't hold it in anymore and want to come out? You know my identity." Jean Wuhan's eyelids twitched because this old man in front of him was too mysterious. However, in the next moment, he gritted his teeth and said, "Since you know my identity, there are some things that you shouldn't care about. You can take your granddaughter away. I won't care about you. However, this kid has to stay. He killed a peerless genius of the war tribe. I won't let him go." Killed a peerless genius of the war tribe? Hearing this, the few young men were also shocked. Then they looked at Lin Xian again. Chapter 2362. Previously, when they looked around, the other party's aura was very weak, and he was covered in blood. They didn't think that he was very strong, but now, after hearing what he said, they knew that they had underestimated him. The war tribe was a legendary powerful race that lived to fight. The prodigies of the war tribe were definitely terrifying, but he was killed by the other party. It was shocking. Moreover, it seemed that the sage's hand bone above his head was probably his. It was indeed shocking that a young man had a sage's item. Humph! Sensing Jean Wuhan's killing intent, Lin Xian snorted and waved his hand to recall the sage's hand bone. Then he said, "You want to kill me? I'm afraid you don't have the ability." At this moment, the old man with the walking stick also spoke. All right, little guy, you should go back, the old man said to Jean Woohan. Hearing this, Jean Woohan snorted, and a look of displeasure appeared in his eyes. The other party called him a little guy. Although he looked young, his actual age was more than 1,000 years old. How could someone like him be a little guy? However, in the next moment, Jean Woohan was stunned, and his eyes were filled with shock. That was because the old man continued. Jean Lingtian is still alive, right? Send him my regards. Senior, you are? Jean Woohan was too shocked, or even terrified, because Jean Lingtian was one of the ancestors of the war tribe. Furthermore, this name was not something that just anyone could know. Apart from the internal members of the war tribe, very few people outside knew about it. However, the person in front of him actually knew about it, and there was even a hint of mockery in his tone. This shocked him greatly. What was going on? Could it be that the old man in front of him knew their ancestor? Jean Woohan didn't dare to be presumptuous anymore. Coupled with the fact that the other party had sealed the sage's hand bone in one move, he was certain that the old man had no idea what was going on. The old man in front of him must be an extremely terrifying person. Since Senior has spoken, I'll spare him this time, Jean Woohan said in a deep voice. He knew that he couldn't succeed this time. Not to mention the old man, the people around him were also very powerful. If they really fought, he wouldn't be able to take advantage of them. After saying that, Jean Woohan looked at Lin Xian again. Kid, you're lucky this time. I'll spare your life. However, the next time they met, they wouldn't be so lucky. Humph! Lin Xian also snorted coldly. Don't worry, you don't have to hold back, because the next time we meet, I will personally kill you. Acting recklessly. Jean Woohan's eyes were cold. However, he quickly turned around and left. A pair of golden wings appeared on his back, and Scarless War disappeared. Damn it, that guy finally left. The Crimson Dragon heaved a sigh of relief when he saw the other party leave. Lin Xian's eyes flickered, and he quickly looked towards the elder. Thank you, Senior, for your help. I am extremely grateful. Little girl, I should be the one thanking you. If it weren't for you, my granddaughter would have suffered even more. That's right, Big Brother Lin. Thank you so much this time. Kid, why don't we leave? This old man is too scary. My hair stands on end just by standing here. Next to him, the Crimson Dragon felt uncomfortable. That was because although the old man had a benevolent appearance and did not emit any aura, he felt that his secret was completely exposed before the old man's eyes. This feeling was extremely unpleasant. Not only the Crimson Dragon, but Lin Xian also felt the same. Although the old man's gaze was gentle, it was boundless. It was as if he could see through her body. He had never encountered such a thing before. Without a doubt, the old man must be a super expert. Senior, I still have some things to do. Lin Xian decided to leave. However, Xia Xingchen was reluctant. Big Brother Lin, don't go. Look, you're injured. You haven't recovered yet. What if that big bad guy is hiding nearby? I'm afraid you'll be in danger then. How about this? You come back with me, and I'll treat you well. There's no need. Lin Xian shook his head. Go back. Go back to where? Peach Blossom Island? That's above the East Sea. Even further than Eastern Wilderness. He still had things to do in Zhong State. Little girl, don't worry. We have some manners in Zhong State. You can rest there. The old man seemed to have seen through Lin Xian's thoughts, so he said with a smile. Lin Xian's face was a little pale. The feeling of being seen through was really terrible. The old man's smile deepened. He stared at Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon and nodded slightly. He seemed to be very satisfied. Kid, don't be unappreciative. It's your fortune to be chosen by our master. The few young men at the side said coldly. Their eyes were filled with dissatisfaction. What kind of joke is this? This kid actually wants to refuse? Doesn't he know who his master is? To be honest, Lin Xian really didn't know. Humph, you guys don't be rude to Big Brother Lin. Xia Xingchen snorted. The few young men quickly responded. Yes, miss, we were wrong. The old man in front smiled. My name is Xia Juyo. You can call me Elder Xia or Grandpa Xia like Xingchen. Hearing this, the old man and the few young men's eyelids twitched. What's going on? Why is our master acting like this? Heavens! Who is this young man in front of us? How can he be so valued by our master? Lin Xian scratched his head and said, Then I'll call you Elder Xia. At the side, the Crimson Dragon was also very shocked. Xia Juyo, where have I heard this name before? He was very confused because he felt like he had heard this name before, but he couldn't remember it at the moment. All right then, I'll disturb you. Lin Xian also felt that it wasn't good to delay, so he decided to leave with them. After all, Xia Xingchen was right. Who knew if Zhang Wuhan had left? If he was hiding here, then they would really be in danger. Then the group boarded the spirit boat, turned into a ray of light, and disappeared into the sky. The spirit boat flew at high speed. Lin Xian, the Crimson Dragon, and Snow White Little Host stayed in the room. They were all recovering quickly. After all, the previous battle had taken a toll on them, especially Lin Xian, who had suffered serious internal injuries. Even if he had treasures, he wouldn't be able to recover in a short time. He had no choice. He had used the Great Dragon Sword Soul multiple times, unlocked the 3rd level of the Ancient Dragon Abyss Sword's power, and even unlocked the seal on the Sage's hand bone. Every single one of them was a serious blow to his body. If not for his strong martial arts foundation and the fact that he had consumed a lot of treasures, he would have been dead by now. The Crimson Dragon said softly as he swallowed the treasures, Kid, be careful. That old man is too scary. I have a feeling that he saw through our secret. Chapter 2363. Upon hearing this, Lin Xian's eyelids twitched. Then he lowered his voice and asked, What realm do you think he has reached? I don't know, but ever since I broke the seal, there have only been 2 people who could give me this feeling. One is him, and the other is that old drunkard who used to be by your side. You mean Lord Alcohol? Lin Xian was shocked. He had seen how mysterious and terrifying Lord Alcohol was. Moreover, Lord Alcohol was the owner of the Devouring Sword. He could be said to be a peerless expert in the world. Lin Xian didn't expect the Crimson Dragon to have such a high opinion of the old man in front of him. The old man must be a terrifying peerless expert. But fortunately, what made Lin Xian relax was that the old man hadn't shown any hostility, nor had he coveted their treasures. He didn't even look at the sage's hand bone. But even so, Lin Xian didn't intend to expose the secret of the Dragon Sword Soul and the heavenly secret God Eyes. After all, these 2 things were treasures of heaven and earth. Even an invincible king would be tempted by them. So he would try his best not to expose them. Just as he was thinking, the door opened. Xia Xingchen ran in. Brother Lin, Xingchen, why are you here? Lin Xian smiled and stood up. Xia Xingchen, on the other hand, carried a box and skipped into the room. Grandpa said that your injuries were too serious, so he asked me to send you some medicine. Then Xia Xingchen opened the box in her arms. The Crimson Dragon was originally a little disdainful because there were many treasures in the Black Earth. These were all things that they had snatched from the hands of those peerless experts. But when he saw what was in the box, he was dumbfounded and then screamed. What's wrong with you? Lin Xian was puzzled. The Crimson Dragon pointed at the thing in the box and said excitedly, Heavens, this is the supreme heavenly vitality ointment. This is the 9 Suns soul refining pill. Damn, these are all good treasures. The Crimson Dragon was shocked because these were all legendary elixirs. You know these things? Very magical? Lin Xian was puzzled. He had never heard of these people before. The Crimson Dragon snatched the box and said, Of course I recognize it. This is the highest heaven essence ointment. No matter how severe your injuries are, it will heal immediately after applying it. And this, the Juyong Spirit Refining Pill, was even more miraculous. Just one pill could heal an internal injury. Brat, you're so heavily injured now. I reckon that even with the pills in our hands, you'll still need a long time to recover. But now, if you consume these two, you can instantly return to your peak. What? So magical! Lin Xian was also shocked. He didn't expect the ointment Xia Xingchen was hugging to have such a miraculous effect. At the side, Xia Xingchen was amazed. Wow, Xiaolong, you know so much. Hee, little Xingchen, you don't have any more of this medicine. Give us some more. The Crimson Dragon walked over and grinned as it ate. Although the amount in the box was enough for them, the Crimson Dragon wanted to collect some. If he suffered any injuries in the future, it would be easier for him to recover. Xia Xingchen pouted and said, "No, Grandpa said that the amount is more than enough for you guys. Damn, is your grandpa an old monster? How can he calculate everything so accurately?" The Crimson Dragon grumbled. Xia Xingchen said, "Don't talk about my grandpa like that." Fine, fine, fine. I won't say it. The little girl is angry. The Crimson Dragon shrugged and began to apply the ointment. He consumed the Juyong Spirit Refining Pill. Lin Xian also applied the highest heaven essence ointment on his body. Instantly, he felt a cool and refreshing aura hit him in the face. His bones and muscles were instantly healed. How magical! Lin Xian was shocked. At the side, the cracks on the Crimson Dragon's body were also healed. Seeing this magical ointment, Lin Xian consumed the Juyong Spirit Refining Pill again. Instantly, the medicinal liquid turned into a warm energy that circled around his body. "Big Brother Lin, you should rest first. When the spirit boat lands, I'll come and play with you." Xia Xingchen left happily. After closing the door, Lin Xian continued to hover. He circulated the art of longevity in his body and absorbed the medicinal power of the Juyong Spirit Refining Pill with all his might. While Lin Xian was recovering, on the other side, there was a huge uproar in the Nine Li dynasty. When the people in the nearby cities saw the golden light disappear, the terrifying energy also gradually dissipated. These people couldn't help but go to investigate. What they saw scared them out of their wits. The area within a radius of 500,000 miles was destroyed beyond recognition. The ground was covered with corpses, densely packed. Blood gathered into a river and surged in the air, not dissipating for a long time. Heavens! How many experts had died? They didn't know because the aura of each and every one of those who died shocked them to the core. There were probably quite a number of peerless almighties. There were even more ordinary supreme experts. These people's faces changed drastically. What happened? Why did so many experts die? How terrifying! Someone saw the soaring snake that was split in half on the ground. The 1,000-meter-long corpse fell on the ground. It smashed the ground. What a terrifying demonic aura. This should be the soaring snake. Isn't this the demonic beast of the Tung family? Why is it here? Heavens, could it be that the martial artists of the Tung family were killed here? These people should be from the city lord's mansion of Qianshan City. Someone was shocked. These were all powerhouses of the big families. Exclamations sounded one after another. In the end, someone screamed. The people of the Tai dynasty were also killed here. Their scalps went numb in disbelief. Who was it that killed so many powerhouses? The news spread like a storm, and the entire Nine Li dynasty was in an uproar. Tung Jiazhen was shocked and couldn't believe it. The city lord's mansion of Qianshan City was even more terrified. The other major clans were all stunned as well. Others didn't know what was going on, but they knew. This time, they had the city lord's mansion of Qianshan City, the Tung family, and the Tai dynasty. They had joined forces with the powerhouses of dozens of big families to kill Lin Xian. Previously, they didn't take it to heart at all, because with such a team, no one would be able to escape, let alone a young boy. However, the result was far beyond their expectations. They were all killed. The powerhouses of dozens of families and the powerhouses of the three big families were all killed. None of them returned alive. Was this something that a young boy could do? They couldn't believe it. Perhaps even a peerless, mighty figure couldn't do it, unless an invincible king made a move. Could it be that there was an invincible king behind that young boy? These people discussed animatedly, not daring to believe it. However, when the news spread to the Tai dynasty, the imperial palace was shocked, especially the people on the first prince's side. They were stunned and couldn't believe it. What was going on? All the people they sent were killed? Even General Xianying was killed? No. Damn it. This was impossible. The empress roared angrily, causing everyone to tremble in fear and kneel on the ground. Update 10. Please recommend, subscribe, bookmark, and reward. Chapter 2364. Even General Xianying was killed? No. Damn it. That was impossible. The empress roared angrily. Everyone trembled in fear and knelt on the ground. These people were indeed afraid because General Xianying was the empress' younger brother. How could the empress accept his death? Who did it? Damn it. Who was the one who did it? Just who was standing behind that kid? The empress roared crazily. To be honest, she did not dare to believe it. The people she had sent out this time were all elite experts. More importantly, the powerhouse of the war tribe, Zhan Wuhan, had also been dispatched. With Zhan Wuhan taking action, no matter how strong the enemy was, they would not be a match for him. But now, General Xianying was killed. The powerhouse of the war tribe, Zhan Wuhan, was nowhere to be found. That made her extremely shocked. Do a thorough investigation. Send out 1,000,000 troops. I must capture that kid and tear him into pieces. The news could not be hidden. The empress and the first prince were shocked and angry. Meanwhile, there was an uproar elsewhere. Those who supported the first prince had gloomy expressions. The 8th prince, who was the current crown prince, laughed heartily. The princes and elders who supported him were also very surprised. That was because the news was too shocking. They had seen Lin Xian before. He was once the 8th prince. Later on, when he was hunted down, they had secretly helped him. But who would have thought that the other party would make such a big news? Even General Xianying had been killed. Ha ha! I knew that Brother Lin would be fine. The crown prince was very happy. The surrounding elders were also astonished. How did that kid do it? It was definitely not that kid. There must be a mysterious faction behind him. But I heard that the powerhouse of the war tribe, Zhan Wuhan, also went there. He could not do anything to the other party. Heavens, could the faction behind him be able to fight against the war tribe? Many people sucked in a cold breath. But no matter what, it was good news for them. On the other side, Lin Xian and the others were on a spirit boat flying quickly. After flying for a few days, the spirit boat slowed down and descended. They had arrived. Lin Xian, the Crimson Dragon, and the others sensed this and stood up as well. Not long after, the spirit boat landed. Lin Xian opened the hatch, and the group walked down. In front of him stood a towering mountain surrounded by clouds. Silver waterfalls hung from the mountain peaks in the distance, as if it was the Milky Way. He was surrounded by grasslands and spirit gardens in the distance. There were even a few spirit springs in the surroundings. Many rare beasts were also roaming around here. This place was simply like a paradise on earth. Big Brother Lin, we are here. This is the place. Xia Xingchen also ran over and tugged on Lin Xian's arm. Next, Lin Xian and the others entered the fairyland ahead. They arrived at Qingxia Peak. The scenery there was beautiful, and there was a large waterfall below his feet. It was like an enormous silver dragon, releasing thunderous sounds. While Xia Xingchen played with Lin Xian, Xia Juyo and the others entered the depths of the wonderland. Master, why did you bring him here? The old man behind him was puzzled. Although the little princess was indebted to him, it would have been enough to give him some cultivation techniques or treasures. There was no need to bring him here. We don't even know his identity. If he exits in the future and exposes our location, I'm afraid we will be in trouble. The old servant was very worried. However, Xia Juyo slowly turned around after hearing that. You don't know his identity, but I do. Master, could it be that this kid really has some background? After waiting for so many years, he is finally here. Xia Juyo's eyes lit up. This old man doesn't have much time left. It's time to make some arrangements. What? Master. Hearing this, the old man immediately panicked. Master, nothing will happen to you. You will definitely succeed. However, Xia Juyo shook his head. I know my own situation very well. That young man is incredible. Although he is young, his future is limitless. Is he really that powerful? It seems that he is not as good as those saints and princes. He is not bad. Believe me, it won't be long before he completely surpasses those people. Xia Juyo smiled. After all, he possessed the great dragon sword soul. What? The great dragon sword soul? You mean that the great dragon sword soul with the strongest attack is in the hands of that kid? The old servant was shocked and in disbelief. He did not expect that the kid would have such a trump card. That's right, the great dragon sword soul with the strongest attack. Xia Juyo smiled and nodded. The old servant was still a little worried. However, even if he has enough talent and opportunities, we still don't know his character. Isn't it a little too rash to take him in so hastily? There is no need to test him. This is someone recommended by an old friend. There is nothing wrong with the person he recommended, Xia Juyo said. Furthermore, I am not in a good state now. I am afraid that I can't continue to preside. How about this? I plan to let him take over my position. What? Take over your position? This time, the old servant was stunned, as if he had been struck by lightning. This news was even more shocking than when he heard about the great dragon sword soul. That was because the old man's identity was terrifying. Not to mention his strength, the matter that he was presiding over was enough to rule the entire Middle State continent. However, the old man wanted to let a kid take over. This was unbelievable. Go and inform the others that I have something to announce. Yes, the old servant quickly left. However, he was extremely shocked because he knew that something extremely big was about to happen. After the old servant left, Xia Juyo's eyes shone with a cold light. His eyes were as deep as the universe. Soon, a super teleportation formation appeared under his feet. Runes flickered as he was teleported away. Xia Juyo appeared in the ancient hall. He walked slowly with his walking stick, hearing the sound of footsteps. Everyone in the hall turned their heads. There were 7 people standing in the hall. One of them was the old servant from before. The other 6 were peerless experts. Some of them were old, some were young, and some were middle-aged. However, all of them had an unusually strong aura. They were unbelievably strong. Take a seat. Xia Juyo walked to the front, sat down, and waved his hand. Phew. Only then did the 6 people dare to sit down. As for the old servant, he stood in front of Xia Juyo with his hands hanging down in a very respectful manner. I called you here today because I have something to announce. Hearing that there was an announcement to be made, the 6 of them straightened their backs. However, they were stunned in the next moment. Chapter 2365. I called you all here today because I have something to announce. Hearing that there was something to announce, the 6 of them straightened their bodies. But in the next moment, they were stunned because Xia Juyo said, I plan to give up my current position. What? The 6 of them felt as if they were struck by lightning. Their reaction was the same as the old servant from before. Why did Palace Master do this? Yes, who else can take over your position? The 6 of them were shocked, because this old man's status was too terrifying. No one could take over. They had already found a good candidate. Old Hua, Xia, Jiyo shouted. The old servant beside him stood up. He waved his sleeve, and runes flickered in the sky, condensing into a young appearance. It was Lin Xian's phantom. Then the old servant said, his name was Lin Xian. He had saved the little princess and was currently resting on Qingxia Peak. What? Let him take over. The 6 of them looked at the young figure in the sky in shock. What kind of joke was this? Letting a brat take over the position of palace master? They didn't dare to believe it. They even felt like they were dreaming. Xiajiu said, Why? You don't believe my judgment? No. These people hurriedly shook their heads. It's just that it's too sudden. We can't accept it for a while. Even if we can't accept it, we have to accept it. Xiajiu's voice became low, carrying a supreme pressure. From today onwards, this young man will be the palace master of our immortal palace. I won't interfere in immortal palace's matters in the future. I have to prepare for the immemorial war. Immemorial war. Everyone was shocked again. Then, the 6 of them raised their heads. The 10,000 ancient races were about to appear. Soon, the nest of 10,000 dragons had been moving more and more frequently recently. They would probably appear soon. When the nest of 10,000 dragons appeared, the other 10,000 ancient races would probably appear as well. At that time, the 5 continents would definitely be filled with flames of war. It was still unknown whether or not the human race could withstand it. Therefore, you must assist that young man well. Yes, we know. The 6 of them stood up and knelt on one knee. Their expressions were very solemn. All right, you may leave. Xiajiu waved his hand. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The 6 of them quickly left. Old Hua, Xiajiu said, Bring that kid over. Over here, Lin Xian was playing with Xiajiu on Qingxia Peak. Suddenly, a white cloud descended from the sky and turned into an old servant. Grandpa Hua, why are you here? Xingchen asked curiously. The old servant smiled and said, Master is looking for Lin Gongzi for some matters. So please, Lin Gongzi. Looking for me? Lin Xian was surprised, but he still followed the old servant. Xia Xingchen sighed. Big brother Lin has left. DeLong, Xiao, bye. You two can play with me. The little white monkey nodded happily, but the crimson dragon looked depressed. When did it become someone else's pet? Up ahead, the old servant led the way. He and Lin Xian flew into the distance, clouds rising beneath their feet. Senior, why is Elder Xiao looking for me? Lin Xian asked doubtfully. Lin Gongzi, when you arrive, you will naturally know, the old servant said indifferently. All right then. Lin Xian didn't ask further, but he was still very confused. He didn't know about the conversation between the old servant and Xia Jiu. Otherwise, he would have been shocked, because Xia Jiu had seen through his dragon sword soul in an instant. This was Lin Xian's biggest secret. The 2 of them flew and soon landed. However, there was no one around. The old servant led Lin Xian and quickly activated a formation. Seeing the surrounding runes flickering, Lin Xian was shocked. This was because he realized that this was a super teleportation formation. This kind of super teleportation formation could teleport people very far away, even across countries. It seemed that this fairyland-like place wasn't the main residence of Xia Jiu. Could it be that they were teleported to Peach Blossom Island? Lin Xian was confused because Xia Xingchen had said that her family lived on Peach Blossom Island and she came out to play, and accidentally came to Zhongzhou. She probably accidentally activated the super teleportation formation and was teleported here. Otherwise, there was no other way to go from Eastern Wilderness to Zhongzhou in such a short time. The light flickered, And when it disappeared again, Lin Xian opened his eyes. His surroundings had changed. There were ancient buildings all around, and there was a majestic palace in front of him that was full of vicissitudes of life. Lin Xian didn't know whether it was Peach Blossom Island or not, but he knew that it was definitely not Qingxia Peak. Lin Xian followed behind the old servant, and the two of them walked towards the palace. Soon, the old servant pushed the door open. "Lin Gongzi, please." Lin Xian nodded and strode in. The old servant followed beside him. When the two of them reached the center of the palace, the old servant said respectfully, "Master, Lin Gongzi is here, and you may leave and close the door." Yes, the old servant left and closed the door. The light in the palace suddenly dimmed, leaving only Lin Xian and Xia Jiao. "May I know why Senior is looking for me?" Lin Xian took a deep breath. "How much do you know about Zhongzhou?" Xia Jiao asked. Hearing this question, Lin Xian was puzzled. He didn't know what this had to do with looking for him. However, he still thought about it and said, "I don't know much. I only know that the Zhongzhou continent is a continent in the true spirit world. There are 9 great empires here, and they are the overlords of this continent. I'm not from the Zhongzhou continent, so I don't know the details." Hearing this, Xia Jiao nodded. Yes, the 9 great empires dominated a region and occupied a large area of the Zhongzhou continent. There were even great emperors in a few of them. But do you know that they aren't the real overlords? Not the real overlords? Then who are they? Lin Xian was surprised. Xia Jiao said, "Countless years ago, there were no 9 great empires in the Zhongzhou continent. There was only one country. It wasn't a dynasty, but an immortal dynasty. An immortal dynasty." Lin Xian was shocked. Yes, the Yuhua immortal dynasty. It unified the entire Zhongzhou continent. At that time, it could be said to be extremely powerful. It unified the entire Zhongzhou continent. Lin Xian was too shocked because the Zhongzhou continent was vast and boundless. He didn't know how vast it was. Now, even if these empires were powerful, they only occupied a part of it. Even if the 9 great empires were combined, they wouldn't be able to occupy the entire Zhongzhou continent. But before that, there was actually a country that unified the Zhongzhou continent. How powerful was that country? The Yuhua immortal dynasty. Lin Xian muttered. Then he raised his head and asked, "Then why is this immortal dynasty gone?" It was destroyed. Even a powerful country couldn't withstand the power of time. The Yuhua immortal dynasty made a shocking decision back then, but after it failed, it fell apart. The ancestors of the 9 great empires were split from the Yuhua immortal dynasty. Even many families and forces in the Zhongzhou continent were once members of the Yuhua immortal dynasty. But in the end, they each established their own forces, empires, and countries. But there was still a portion of them that survived in the Yuhua immortal dynasty. However, they were no longer an immortal dynasty, but another name. Chapter 2366. A portion of it remained in the Yuhua immortal dynasty's name. However, they were no longer called the immortal dynasty, but had changed their name. What was it called? Lin Xian asked. Immortal Palace, Xia Jiao said in a deep voice. Because the vast territory was long gone, only a dilapidated palace was left, so it naturally couldn't be called the Immortal Dynasty, but Immortal Palace. Immortal Palace. Lin Xian was surprised. Then he looked in all directions. He always felt that the other party seemed to have something that he didn't say. Regardless of whether it was the Immortal Dynasty or Immortal Palace, it was completely different from the current dynasty. It had the word immortal in it. One had to know that everyone cultivated to become an immortal, but whether there were immortals in the world or not, no one knew. Even the great emperor didn't know. It could be said that whether immortals existed or not was the greatest mystery. But now, someone actually used the word immortal to name a country and a faction. One could imagine how ambitious the other party was. Moreover, what made Lin Xian even more puzzled was why the other party would say such a thing. What did it have to do with him? Suddenly, his eyelids twitched. Could it be that the other party was from Immortal Palace? Senior, could it be? You guessed right. I am indeed from Immortal Palace. Moreover, I am the palace master of Immortal Palace, Xia Jiu said in a deep voice. After Lin Xian heard this, it was as if a bolt from the blue sky had struck him. What? Immortal Palace's palace master. He had guessed that this old man was from Immortal Palace, but he didn't expect that the other party's identity was even more noble than he imagined. Immortal Palace's palace master. This was definitely an extremely terrifying existence, not weaker than the emperors of the 9 great dynasties. However, Xia Jiu said that he didn't have to be surprised because soon he wouldn't be the palace master of Immortal Palace, wouldn't be the palace master of Immortal Palace. What did that mean? Lin Xian was even more puzzled. Because I plan to pass the position of Immortal Palace's palace master to you. What? Pass it to me? Lin Xian was dumbfounded, not daring to believe it. What was going on? Immortal Palace had inherited the essence of the Yuhua Immortal Dynasty. It was an extremely terrifying existence. Now, the other party actually said that he was going to pass the position palace master of Immortal Palace to him. What kind of a joke? Lin Xian couldn't believe it. He even suspected that the other party was joking. Senior, this joke isn't funny. Xia Jiu stood up and said with a smile. Why? Do you think I'm joking? This is the first time I've met Senior, right? Why would Senior give me such an important position? Lin Xian shook his head. He didn't believe it. Just because I saved Xia Xingchen? Lin Xian felt that it was impossible. Even if he had saved Xia Xingchen, if the other party wanted to repay him, he would at most give him some heavenly treasures. But to give him the position of Immortal Palace Hall Master, what was going on? Could it be that there was some kind of conspiracy going on? Lin Xian couldn't understand, but in the next moment his pupils shrank. He stood there in a daze. Xia Jiu said, because you are very special. You have a boundless future. You have a great dragon sword spirit with unparalleled combat prowess. Lin Xian's pupils shrank to the size of needles. He was too shocked. How did the other party know that he had the great dragon sword soul? Or could it be that the other party had already set their sights on his dragon sword spirit? He didn't know, but at this moment, he was extremely nervous. The great dragon sword soul in his body could erupt at any time. Lin Xian even decided to use the Black Earth at all costs, although he knew that all of this wouldn't be of much use in front of the other party. But he wouldn't sit still and wait for death. Don't be nervous. I don't have any ill intentions towards you. Seeing Lin Xian's nervous face, Xia Jiu smiled and sat down again. Actually, from the beginning, I knew that you had the great dragon sword soul. I even knew it before I saw you. What's going on? How did you know that I have the great dragon sword soul without seeing me? What's going on? Could it be that the other party had the ability to predict the unknown? Lin Xian was even more puzzled. Xia Jiu smiled and said, let me show you this and you'll understand. Xia Jiu waved his hand, and countless rays of light condensed in the sky, forming a figure. It was a middle-aged man. He stood on a flying sword, his long hair fluttering in the wind. There was stubble on his handsome face, and a wine pot hung on his waist. Lord Alcohol. Seeing this figure, Lin Xian immediately exclaimed, that's right, this figure was Lord Alcohol. Of course, it wasn't his actual body, but a wisp of spiritual imprint. When Lord Alcohol appeared, he looked down and said with a smile, little guy, we meet again. You've grown faster than I imagined. Lord Alcohol, where are you? I miss you so much. Lin Xian's eyes were moist. After all, this was his first master. I have something important to do now, so we won't be able to meet for the time being. But don't worry, one day we'll meet again, Lord Alcohol said with a smile. Then he turned around and pointed at Xiaojuyo. This is an old friend of mine. Trust him, he definitely won't harm you. You've accepted the Immortal Palace and brought it to greater heights. I hope that one day we can fight side by side. This spiritual imprint wasn't long, so it didn't take long for Lord Alcohol's figure to slowly disappear. Lin Xian quickly said, "Don't worry, Lord Alcohol. I'll definitely work hard to improve myself. One day, I'll stand side by side with you and look down on this land." Ha 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 ha. Good, I'll wait for you. Lord Alcohol laughed loudly and completely turned into light, disappearing. Up ahead, Xiaojuyo said again, "How is it, little guy? Now you know that I don't have any ill intentions towards you, right?" It was this junior who was rude. Lin Xian became incomparably respectful towards Xiaojuyo. This was because he was Lord Zhou's friend. "Old Xia, how did you and Lord Zhou meet? Can you tell me about Lord Alcohol's past? We've known each other for a long time," Xiaojuyo said slowly. He couldn't remember exactly when they met. "As for his past, I'll tell you when I have the chance in the future. Right now, your mission isn't easy. Kid, are you willing to take over the Immortal Palace and become its master?" "I'm willing." Lin Xian took a deep breath. Since Lord Alcohol said so, he naturally had to accept it. Although he didn't know what he would face in the future, he wouldn't be afraid, no matter what it was. Good. Seeing Lin Xian nod in agreement, Xiaojuyo heaved a sigh of relief. He stroked his beard and smiled. "Very good. From now on, you're the master of Immortal Palace. Senior, what do I need to do?" Lin Xian asked. "I won't care about the specifics. After all, you'll be the master of Immortal Palace in the future. However, no matter what you do, you can't deviate from the goal of Immortal Palace." At this point, Xiaojuyo's gaze became incomparably deep. A supreme aura rose from his body. The existence of Immortal Palace is to restore the Yuhua Immortal Dynasty. In fact, the ultimate goal of the Yuhua Immortal Dynasty back then was to ascend and become an immortal. Therefore, becoming an immortal is also our goal. Becoming an immortal, restoring the Yuhua Immortal Dynasty. Lin Xian was extremely shocked. This wasn't a simple matter. It could be said that it wasn't as simple as becoming a great emperor. One had to know that the current central continent had long been divided by the 9 great empires. If one wanted to establish a supreme country, it would be tantamount to starting a war with the 9 great empires. Just how much strength and courage did it take to achieve this? Moreover, the other goal was even more shocking. Chapter 2367. Just how much strength and courage did it take to achieve this? Moreover, the other goal was even more shocking. Becoming an immortal. What an elusive thing. Even becoming a great emperor might not be possible. However, since he had already agreed to do it and decided to do it, Lin Xian swore that he would advance towards these goals no matter what. After all, becoming a great emperor was his ultimate goal. Now, the two didn't conflict. In fact, becoming the master of Immortal Palace could provide him with great help on his path to becoming a great emperor. After all, Immortal Palace had endless resources for him to enjoy. From now on, he would no longer have to be a rogue cultivator like before. Lin Xian knew how important it was to have a powerful faction as a foundation. Looking at those princes, the Holy Sun knew that it was hundreds of times easier for them to cultivate than him. But now, Lin Xian finally had a powerful faction as a foundation. In addition, with the great dragon sword soul as a foundation, his strength would increase by leaps and bounds in the future. He just had to remember these 2 goals. Of course, there was another one, and that was to protect the human race. Protect the human race? Hearing this, Lin Xian frowned. What did that mean? If we want to restore the Yuhua immortal dynasty, we will definitely have to contend with the other great factions. Battles with the 9 great dynasties are inevitable. In the future, in order to compete for resources, we will even have to fight with those peerless great sects and peerless holy lands. But these are all battles between the human race. However, the human race isn't the only one on the entire continent. The 10,000 ancient races are incomparably powerful, although they haven't appeared yet. It doesn't mean that they have disappeared. Now, that the nest of 10,000 dragons is about to make a move, once it appears, the other ancient races will probably appear one after another. At that time, they would definitely start a conflict with all the human forces. No matter how we fight, we won't allow other races to rule this land. 10,000 ancient races. Lin Xian was shocked. This wasn't the first time he had heard of this name. What made him even more shocked was that the nest of 10,000 dragons was about to make a move. Could it be that it was really going to appear soon? As for the specifics, you can ask the other elders in Immortal Palace in the future, Xia Jiu said. However, Lin Xian still had a doubt. He asked, Elder Xia, if you let me become Immortal Palace's master just like this, will the others be convinced? He indeed had this worry. That was Immortal Palace. There might be countless experts inside, geniuses emerging in large numbers, letting a brat like him, moreover someone who appeared out of nowhere, become Immortal Palace's lord. Those people would definitely not accept this. With me around, they won't be able to rebel, but they definitely won't be too convinced. How to convince them is up to you. This old man can't help you with everything. However, you have to promise me something. Senior, please speak your mind. Junior will definitely do it. This old man has lived for too long, and I don't have much lifespan left. I don't know how long I can last. So, I hope that you can help me take good care of Xingchen. You must not let her come to any harm. Don't worry, Senior. I'll definitely protect Xingchen like a younger sister. You just have to protect her well, but I don't care if she's like my sister. Hearing this, Lin Xian's mouth twitched. What did he mean? Listening to this, the other party seemed to have other intentions. However, Lin Xian already had Morong Qingchen, Shen Jingqiu, and Zhao Shui. Xia Jiu shook his head. This old man doesn't care about the matters of you youngsters. I'm handing Immortal Palace and Xingchen to you. You can't make any mistakes. Don't worry, old Xia. This kid will do his best. Lin Xian cupped his fists. However, he asked curiously, Senior, where are you going? There are still many things for me to do. The 10,000 ancient races are restless. I have to think of a way to intimidate them. Little guy, quickly grow up. We need you. The great dragon sword's power is far beyond your imagination. Only when you truly grow up can you truly help us. Lin Xian nodded. He knew that today's matter was just the tip of the iceberg. There were probably even bigger matters and secrets that the other party didn't mention. It wasn't that the other party was intentionally hiding things from him, but that he couldn't help with his current strength. Telling him would only add to his worries. When his strength reached that level, he would naturally know those things. This is the Immortal Palace seal, a symbol of status. You have to keep it well and not lose it. Xia Jiu took out a bronze square seal and handed it to Lin Xian. Lin Xian received it carefully and then took a deep breath. This Immortal Palace seal was too mysterious. Although it was only a palm-sized bronze square seal, the power it contained made Lin Xian's hair stand on end. Next, he gave an order to the entire Immortal Palace, stating that the position would be passed to Lin Xian. Logically speaking, such a huge matter would definitely have a huge ceremony. However, Xia Jiu didn't want to cause such a huge commotion. After all, the identity of Immortal Palace was a secret to begin with. Moreover, he did have more important things to do. Finally, Xia Jiu stood up and said in a deep voice, I'll give you another person. He can protect you. If there's anything you don't understand, you can ask him. Xing Tian, come out. Wang. At the side of the hall, space cracked open, and a figure walked out. It was a tall figure with a youthful face. His true age was unknown. Chapter 2368. What? Immortal Palace Master is giving up his position to a young man? Heavens, did you make a mistake? What's going on? Is Immortal Palace going to change? Everyone was shocked. This was especially true for those elders, who were in an uproar. Many of them shouted angrily. What right does a kid have to inherit the position of Immortal Palace Master? Moreover, it's a kid of unknown origin. That's right, he wasn't even a member of Immortal Palace. What right does he have? These people were really angry. Those young geniuses were also very unconvinced. Even if a young man was to be chosen, it should be from them. An outsider. What's the meaning of this? These people were arguing very fiercely. On the other side, Lin Xian brought Xing Tian back to the Green Hornet, Mississippi. When Xing Tian saw Xia Xingchen, he bowed slightly. Xia Xingchen was also surprised. Brother Xing Tian, why are you here? Oh, right, Brother Lin. What did Grandpa say to you? Your grandpa passed the position of Immortal Palace Master to me, Lin Xian said helplessly. What? Is this true? Xia Xingchen's eyes widened in disbelief. Her cherry lips formed an O shape, but then she clapped her hands happily. That's great, Brother Lin. I was still thinking about what to do when you leave. Now that you've become the Immortal Palace Master, you can play with me often. Hearing this, Lin Xian broke out in cold sweat. This little girl's thinking is really different from ordinary people. At the side, the Crimson Dragon was also confused. Kid, what's going on? What Immortal Palace Master? Thus, Lin Xian gave a simple account of what had happened. When the dark red dragon heard that Lin Xian's palace master was the Immortal Palace's palace master, it was shocked. When he heard that it was inextricably linked to the Yuhua Immortal Dynasty, he screamed and jumped up. What the F***, CK? Kid, you've become the Immortal Palace Master? You know? Lin Xian asked. The Crimson Dragon swallowed his saliva. Of course. How could he not know such a famous organization? Although it wasn't the real Yuhua Immortal Dynasty, it was still a huge existence. They weren't any weaker than the peerless Holy Grounds and peerless Great Sections. Furthermore, it was extremely mysterious. It could be said that it was comparable to heaven and hell. Brat, now that you've become a palace master, you're going to be rich in the future. Ha 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 ha. Ben Huang will be rich in the future. Crimson Dragon was very excited. With his relationship with Lin Xian, he was definitely going to be rich. However, Lin Xian shook his head. Don't be so happy. I'm afraid it won't be that easy to become a palace master. That's true. The Crimson Dragon stopped jumping around. Then he frowned and said, I'm sure the experts in the organization won't be convinced to hand over such a huge force to you. Kid, what did that old man say? Elder Xia said that other than the two main goals, he wouldn't care about anything else and would leave everything to me. He didn't care? The Crimson Dragon was stupefied. This old man really was bold, truly not scared that Immortal Palace would suffer internal strife and split apart. No one dared to split. At this moment, Xing Tian said coldly, All right, no one dared to split, but what if those elders purposely made things difficult for them? That old man wouldn't appear? Lin Xian shook his head. They could only rely on themselves in the future. What the F*** CK? How was this supposed to work? The Crimson Dragon felt a headache coming. Although joining Immortal Palace would allow them to enjoy endless natural treasures. However, the current situation wasn't too good. The two of them had no foundation. If they joined out of nowhere, even if they became Immortal Palace Masters, those people wouldn't listen to them willingly. If they did something behind their backs, it would be difficult to manage them in the future. Xing Tian, what would happen next? Lin Xian asked. Xing Tian thought for a moment and said, there would be a simple ceremony. Although it wasn't that grand, it was still the handover of the palace master position. Those elders would still come. How many elders would there be? Lin Xian asked. Those that were too far away wouldn't come. After all, they had their own missions. There were probably a few hundred of them nearby. Those young geniuses would probably be even more. In addition to the others, there would probably be a few thousand people. Those who would come were all elites. Ordinary members wouldn't be able to come at all. A few thousand people was already a lot. Lin Xian felt a headache coming. Those people would probably make things difficult for him during this ceremony. However, he wasn't afraid. Anyway, the position of palace master was personally handed to him by Xia Jiuyou. Those old guys wouldn't dare to be too presumptuous. As for the younger generation, he wouldn't be afraid. Since he was going to take over, Lin Xian wouldn't be lenient. He wanted to build an immortal palace that belonged to him. 3 days later, I'm looking forward to it. In the next 2 days, Lin Xian didn't come out. He cultivated silently and adjusted his body to the peak. He knew that there would definitely be people who were unhappy with the handover ceremony. Only by adjusting his combat strength to the peak would he be able to make a move. Fortunately, with the 2 great spiritual liquids, his body had already recovered. Therefore, after 2 days of adjustment, he had completely reached the peak state. The ceremony wasn't held here. It was somewhere else. However, there was a super teleportation array on Qingsha Peak. The group quickly used the super teleportation array and left this place. When Lin Xian and the others came out, they frowned, because they realized that the ceremony wasn't as simple as the legend said. In Lin Xian's opinion, the handover ceremony was probably just an announcement of orders, a sacrifice to heaven and earth, and so on. However, he realized that it was far more complicated than that. In front, there were countless palaces that looked like stars. In front of these palaces, there was a vast plaza. The plaza was filled with people forming a dense mass of black. Their expressions were solemn, and their auras were strong. It was like 100,000 mountains that pressed down in front of them, making it difficult to breathe. The entire void was distorted. These people stood in the east, and there was an ancient altar a meter north of them. It was very large and pitch black like black jade. There were 4 heavenly pillars around the altar that emitted a desolate aura. On these 4 pillars, there were carvings of the 4 divine beasts: azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, and black tortoise. Not only that, the altar was even more desolate, as if it wasn't a dead object, but a living thing. On the ancient altar, countless powerhouses were gathered together. The atmosphere was particularly solemn. Although those powerhouses' auras were solemn, they were quiet and didn't make a sound. Lin Xian and the others came together and felt the solemn atmosphere. They immediately frowned. Xing Tian was also very surprised. He didn't expect the ceremony to be so grand. Young master, be careful, Xing Tian reminded him softly from behind. The situation was a little unexpected. Hearing that, Lin Xian nodded. However, he wasn't afraid. He knew that these people were probably trying to intimidate him. Chapter 2369. However, ordinary people might be frightened, but he had experienced many life and death situations. Therefore, although the commotion was frightening, it was not enough to scare him. Let's go. Lin Xian strode forward. Xing Tian was surprised because Lin Xian's performance surprised him. Under normal circumstances, even peerless geniuses, saints, and princes would be worried when they saw such a scene. After all, the people in front were all peerless powerhouses. Moreover, they were coming menacingly. However, the young man in front of him was not afraid at all. He walked forward with large strides. He did not dare to delay, and quickly followed behind. As Lin Xian walked, countless powerhouses in front of him also looked over. Each of them was like a magic lamp that pierced through the void. The wind and clouds in the sky changed, and there were even thunderbolts falling from the sky. That was because these people wanted to see what kind of person could take over the position of Immortal Palace's Hall Master. However, when they saw Lin Xian, they all shook their heads and sighed with disappointment. That was because he was too young. Previously, they thought that he would be at least a few hundred years old, but now it seemed that it was beyond their expectations. These people were all peerless powerhouses. They could see the other party's bones and fate at a glance. He was at most in his 20s. Even if such a person had cultivated since he was in his mother's womb, he would only have been in his 20s. How could he be the Hall Master of Immortal Palace? They did not believe it at all. A person in his 20s wanted to lead them? What a joke. That's right. Why would the Hall Master make such a decision? I can't accept it. I can't stand being commanded by a brat in his 20s. These people discussed animatedly, especially the elders. Their faces were gloomy. As for the young geniuses, their faces were also filled with displeasure. His aura was not strong at all. He was not as strong as them. If he can take over, why can't they? That's right, they were not convinced. Let him try it out. Let him know how powerful we are. The younger geniuses were even more unconvinced. Why could he take over but not them? They decided that they would teach him a lesson later. Quiet down. At that moment, a cold snort sounded, and then everyone quieted down. That was because the voice was too terrifying. 6 figures walked out from the front. The auras of these 6 people condensed together, forming a world that suppressed this area. 6 protectors. These 6 people were the 6 people that Xia Jiao had specially summoned. At this moment, an old man among the 6 said, "This is the Palace Master's decision. Are you going to go against it?" He didn't dare. An elder shook his head. "How could we dare to go against the Palace Lord's decision? It's just that we're not convinced." That's right, he's just a young man in his 20s. What ability does this kid have? He dared to control Immortal Palace? The other person said coldly, even if it was an order from the Palace Master. If this brat could not complete the ceremony, he would not be able to become the Palace Master. As soon as these words were spoken, Busharan nodded and sneered. Indeed, the position of Immortal Palace Lord wasn't that easy. Lin Xian strode to the front, looked at the countless experts, and said in a clear voice, "My name is Lin Xian. I wasn't originally someone from Immortal Palace, but after receiving old Xia's favor, he had me take over Immortal Palace. From today onwards, I hope that everyone will work together to achieve Immortal Palace's goal." Lin Xian's voice was loud and clear. His aura was stable, and it was clearly transmitted to everyone's ears. His voice shocked many people because in such a huge scene, the other party didn't panic at all. This was really surprising. However, there were some elders who sneered in disdain. One of them, Elder Lingshu, snorted coldly. "Brat, it's a little too early to say that. It's not too late to say that after you pass the ceremony." That's right. That's right. Many people were discussing. After hearing this, Lin Xian frowned. What? From the other party's words, could it be that there's danger in the ceremony? There's a chance of failure? Brat, do you think the ceremony is so easy to complete? Do you think it's so easy to be the Palace Lord of Immortal Palace? Let me tell you, even if you're strong and talented, you won't be able to become the Palace Lord if you don't have the luck. What do you mean? Lin Xian's frown deepened. Xing Tian's expression also changed as he said in a deep voice, "Elder Lingshu, the position of Palace Lord has already been passed to the Palace Lord. We only need to carry out a simple ceremony. Why do you want to use the ancient ceremony from before?" There were 2 types of ceremonies. The first was a simple ceremony, which meant that the position had been given up. The second was when the position had not been passed down. This kind of ceremony relied on strength, talent, and luck. It could be said to be extremely dangerous. They didn't expect that Lin Xian would still be the palace lord, but these elders still chose the most dangerous ceremony. It was obvious that they didn't want Lin Xian to be the palace lord. However, Elder Ling Xiu snorted coldly. We're just doing things according to the rules. If he can't even pass these 3 stages, what right does he have to be our palace lord? What right does he have to lead us? That's right, that's right. The remaining elders and young geniuses were also discussing spiritedly. Xing Tian's expression was gloomy. What? Are you thinking of rebelling? However, at this moment, Lin Xian waved his hand to stop them. Then he stood out, looked around, and asked coldly, "If I complete the 3 stages of the ceremony, you'll be willing to acknowledge me as the palace lord, right?" Hearing this, everyone was stunned. The entire place was silent. They didn't expect him to ask this question. What did he want to do? Did he really want to try the 3 stages of the ceremony? Young lord, you can't. This ancient ceremony is extremely dangerous. Xing Tian, who was behind him, quickly reminded him. However, Lin Xian shook his head. It didn't matter. It seemed that these elders were very concerned about the 3 stages of the ceremony. He was just worried about how to intimidate these people. If this was a simple sacrifice, and he was just the new palace master arranged by the old palace master, he was afraid that these people would not be obedient in the future. They might even not care about him. If he completed the 3 stages of the ceremony, he might be able to intimidate them completely. At least, he could intimidate most of them. In this way, it would be much more convenient for him to do things in the future. Furthermore, his position as the palace master could be considered to be justified. Therefore, Lin Xian decided to give it a try. Humph! Who do you think you are? How dare you try the 3 stages of the ceremony? Many elders and geniuses sneered. Lin Xian asked them in return, "Why? Now that I dare to do it, you don't dare to let me participate? Are you afraid of something?" These elders' faces turned red. However, at this moment, Elder Ling Xiu stood out and sneered. "Good boy, you actually dare to participate in the 3 stages of the ceremony. You're too naive. You have no idea how dangerous it is. However, don't worry. As long as you successfully pass, we'll respect you as the palace lord." Chapter 2370. All right. If I fail, I will leave completely and never return to Immortal Palace. Lin Xian's voice was sonorous. "Young master, you can't." Behind him, Xing Tianjiao exclaimed. Lin Xian's words had already been spoken. After the surrounding elders and geniuses heard it, they all laughed out loud. Elder Ling Xiu even sneered, because they didn't think that the other party could pass the 3 ancient sacrificial stages. Only the old palace master, Xia Jiu, had participated in this kind of sacrificial ceremony. Countless years ago, the previous palace master of Immortal Palace suddenly passed away. There was no new palace master, but the various experts of Immortal Palace fought for it. In the end, they had no choice but to use the 3 sacrificial stages. A total of 5 peerless experts and 3 top geniuses participated together. Those people were all extremely terrifying, far beyond the imagination of these people. However, in the end, only Xia Jiu passed. The others all failed. There were even 2 who were directly killed. And now, this young brat in front of them, an ordinary powerhouse, actually wanted to take this test? Wasn't this purely courting death? However, Lin Xian was fearless. If he couldn't even do this, how could he be the palace master of Immortal Palace? How could he lead this group of experts? Seeing that Lin Xian was determined to pass the 3 stages, Elder Ling Xiu sneered. "Brat, you are courting death. You can't blame us. 6 guardians, please open it," Elder Ling Xiu said to the 6 figures in front of him. The 6 guardians sighed and discussed with each other. Then their figures flickered and appeared around the altar. They formed seals with their palms, striking out mysterious runes and slamming them forward. The black altar bloomed with incomparable light. It shot straight into the sky. Then a huge black waterfall poured down, slowly forming countless steps that led to the sky. The first stage was the stairway to heaven. The black stairway to heaven had a total of 99 levels. Only by reaching the top could one be considered to have passed. Among the 6 guardians, an old man said in a deep voice, "At this moment, all of the elders and young geniuses cast their gazes forward. A hint of seriousness appeared in their eyes, because just the aura alone was enough to shock them. They reckoned that even a peerless expert couldn't reach it. Only an extremely terrifying person like the previous palace master would be able to ascend to the 99th floor. One could say that this was the most difficult of the 3 trials." Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. His gaze flickered as he looked ahead. Then he stepped forward and walked toward the black altar. "Young master," Xing Tian exclaimed from behind. The Crimson Dragon said from the side, "Kid, be careful. This aura is very strange." Lin Xian strode towards the ancient altar and stepped onto the black altar. The next moment, he walked up the black steps. When he ascended the first step, a shocking light erupted, and countless black torrents rushed into the sky. A terrifying black ripple spread out in all directions. Strong winds blew, causing their clothes to flutter. However, these people were all experts. Despite the intensity of the storm, no one dared to move. Their bodies were like javelins as they stood there. Their gazes were fixed in front of them. Lin Xian also took a deep breath. Then he took a step forward and walked forward. With every step he took, he could feel the pressure in front of him become heavier. The space around him condensed, trying to crush him. Humph! With this kid's strength, I dare say that he can only reach the 10th floor at most. He won't be able to reach the 10th floor. An elder snorted coldly. However, he soon opened his mouth in disbelief. That was because Lin Xian instantly reached the 10th floor. Damn it! How did he do it? Those people could not believe it. However, someone still said that the pressure would increase after the 10th floor. It would be the same for every 10th floor. With his strength, the 20th floor was the peak. He would probably be seriously injured at the 30th floor. If he continued to force his way up, he would probably be immediately eliminated. Lin Xian silently sensed the 99th floor of the black stairs. Then the corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. In the next moment, he did not move. Instead, he stood on the 10th step and turned his head to look down. "Today, I'll let you see if I'm qualified to become the master of Immortal Palace." "Humph! Don't be so arrogant. We'll talk after you go up." Those young prodigies snorted coldly. They were very unhappy that the other party was so arrogant. Those elders' faces were all so gloomy, and none of them said anything. Lin Xian ignored them and turned around. In the next moment, the great dragon sword soul in his body rumbled, and a dragon's roar sounded. A terrifying dragon shadow rushed out of his body. What is that? Behind him, those elders and prodigies were all stunned. They cried out in surprise. "Dragon! It's a dragon! How could there be a dragon in his body?" Roar! A loud dragon's roar sounded. The great dragon sword soul fought against the 99th floor of the black stairs. Buzz! The great dragon sword soul continued to grow in size, covering the 99th floor. Lin Xian stepped on the divine dragon and quickly walked forward. The black stairs that looked like the stairs of gods and demons were incomparably sacred in the eyes of everyone. However, Lin Xian walked with ease. When he stepped onto the 99th floor and looked down at his surroundings, the elders and prodigies below were all stunned. Their eyes widened, and their minds went blank. Damn it! How did he do it? What is that dragon shadow? Damn it! Is that a secret ultimate move that the old temple master gave him? I don't believe it. How could that kid be so powerful? They were extremely shocked and could not believe it. Some of the prodigies even suspected that the ancient altar had existed for too long and was broken. Indeed, they did not believe it. In an instant, a few prodigies rushed over. They also wanted to give it a try. If they could reach the top, it meant that the 3 stages of the test were indeed broken. Bang, 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 bang. However, when they reached the 10th floor, they vomited blood and flew backward. The highest among them reached the 20th floor, but most of the bones in his body were broken. Damn it, that was terrifying. When those people came down, their bodies were covered in blood, and their faces were filled with fear. The people around them were also shocked. The 3 prodigies were injured in an instant. It could be imagined that the ancient altar was not broken. However, the other party easily reached the 99th floor. Moreover, he was unharmed. They were shocked. Could it be that the other party was destined to become the master of the immortal palace? Those people did not know, but they knew that the young man in front of them was definitely incomparably mysterious. Those elders were also silent. Elder Lingshu's face was dark, and he gritted his teeth. Humph, don't be too proud. This is only the first stage. I don't believe that you can pass the 2nd and 3rd stages. The 6 guardians looked at the figure in the clouds, their eyelids twitching. Now, they seemed to understand why the old temple master insisted on passing the position to this young man. The other party's move was simply a miracle. They were completely stunned. The 2nd stage, Jean-Lu and Hui. The 6 guardians said coldly, and their hands changed again. Chapter 2371. The 2nd stage, Jean-Lu and Hui. The 6 guardians said coldly as they changed their hand seals again. Instantly, the 99% black staircase disappeared slowly. Lin Xian also came down from the clouds. He was still standing on the black altar. 6 paths of reincarnation. The 6 guardians quickly formed hand seals. The black altar shook, and 6 black holes appeared around it. They spun rapidly and emitted a mysterious aura, as if they were connected to 6 worlds. These 6 black holes instantly enveloped Lin Xian. The surrounding elders and prodigies waited patiently. This 2nd stage was very magical. It could make one fall into an illusion and reincarnate 100 times. If one's consciousness wasn't strong enough, they would probably be trapped inside forever. So, the faster one came out, the stronger they were. He set a time limit of 1 incense stick. If the 6 black holes didn't disappear within that time, it meant that he had failed. Just wait and see. This kid will definitely not succeed. That's right. Even such a terrifying figure back then was lost in it. How could this kid succeed? Those elders sneered. Elder Lingshu also snorted coldly as the corners of his mouth curled into an icy smile. But the next moment, they were stunned again. Their eyeballs almost popped out. They couldn't help but be shocked, because the 6 black holes on the black altar in front of them had disappeared. Disappeared without a trace. Damn it! What happened? Why did the 6 black holes disappear? The altar couldn't have been broken, right? Impossible. Could it be that he passed? Heavens! I don't believe it. Who could pass in such a short time? His soul probably hasn't entered yet, right? These people discussed animatedly, and even the 6 protectors looked at each other in dismay, because they had never encountered such a strange thing before. To be honest, this was also their first time activating the 3 views of the sacrificial ritual. All the scenes and reactions were based on the ancient records. Logically speaking, there shouldn't be any mistakes. But why did the black vortex disappear? The 6 elders were puzzled. They formed hand seals again, and formed 6 black holes, enveloping Lin Xian. But not long later, the 6 black holes disappeared again. Lin Xian's figure appeared again. Seeing the scene, these people were even more shocked. Oh no, it must be broken. There was nothing they could do about it. They didn't believe that the other party would be able to break through it in an instant. However, Lin Xian had a helpless look on his face, because he had indeed succeeded. Of course, he had to thank his Tianji divine eyes. When the 6 black holes opened, Lin Xian felt as if 6 worlds were calling out to him. However, at this moment, his heavenly secret god eyes had also opened. The golden light quickly turned into mysterious runes, resisting the 6 mysterious worlds. It made him retreat in an instant. The faster one exited the second stage. The more powerful one was. Lin Xian exited the dungeon almost instantly. It could be said that he had successfully cleared the dungeon. However, this speed was too fast, so much so that it scared these people. Even these people believed that the ancient altar was broken. Damn it, I don't believe it. A few old Zhang clenched their teeth and stepped onto the black altar, ready to give it a try. When the 6 black holes appeared, the eyes of these elders went blank as they were pulled into the 6 worlds. The rest of the people waited patiently. Lin Xian also retreated to the side with his arms crossed and a smile on his face. After half an hour, the 6 black holes still hadn't disappeared. This shocked everyone. Half an hour was the limit. If the black holes didn't disappear after half an hour, it meant that they had failed. This meant that the black altar wasn't broken. The second stage wasn't broken either. However, what was going on with the other party? The 6 guardians made hand seals and removed the black vortex. Those few elders were still in a daze, and they were quickly carried away by people. The other party had successfully cleared the second stage. Everyone looked at each other, feeling that it was unreal. Elder Lingshu gritted his teeth and said, "No, he had to try again. Otherwise, we won't agree." Left with no choice, Lin Xian went up and tried again. However, this time, the 6 of them made hand seals, and the 6 black holes didn't appear. Instead, countless runes floated in the air and condensed to form 2 words. Cleared. Everyone was dumbfounded. What was going on? Even the ancient black altar had directly cleared the dungeon by default. This kid was too heaven-defying. They had the urge to vomit blood. The corners of the 6 guardian elders' mouths twitched. It seemed like there was no need to test again. The other party should have passed the second stage. Next up was the final stage, which was also the most important stage. That was the immortal commanding constellation. This stage was extremely difficult. What was tested wasn't strength, soul, or talent, but fate. Fate, this thing, was extremely ethereal. No one in this world could say for sure. Probably not even the great emperor could say for sure. However, it truly existed, and what the third stage tested was precisely this ethereal fate. The black altar quickly condensed, forming a pitch-black immortal throne, emitting an ancient aura. It floated in midair. Lin Xian would sit on it. If he had the life to become Immortal Palace's lord, he would be safe. If he didn't have the life to become Immortal Palace's lord, he would be instantly injured. If it was light, he would be seriously injured and sent flying. If it was heavy, he would be directly squeezed by this power, turning into a bloody mist. It could be said that it was extremely dangerous. Back then, among the few experts who fought with Xia Juyo, 2 of them were directly killed. There was no chance at all. Those were outstanding figures, but they were directly killed just like that. One could imagine how dangerous the third stage was. At this moment, even the Crimson Dragon was nervous. Lin Xian also took a deep breath. Elder Lingshu sneered below. "Kid, I'll give you one last chance. Obediently admit defeat. This way, you can still save your life. Otherwise, you'll probably lose your life. Why bother? Giving up your life for Immortal Palace's lord isn't worth it for you. I advise you to obediently give up. Not only him, but the other elders and young geniuses also advised him. They looked very friendly, but in fact, they didn't think that Lin Xian could succeed. Lin Xian took a deep breath and ignored these people. Instead, he turned to look at the pitch-black immortal throne in front of him. The first stage was the great dragon sword soul. The second stage was the heavenly secret divine eye. What was the third stage? There probably wasn't anything that could help him. Fate, it seemed like he could only take a gamble. Buzz. Lin Xian took a deep breath and walked forward. Soon he arrived in front of the black immortal throne. Turning around, Lin Xian slowly sat down. At this moment, his heart was in his throat. Needless to say, he was also very nervous. However, he had to do this step. Buzz. Lin Xian sat on the black immortal throne and felt a strange aura enveloping him. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 5 seconds. Everyone waited for 5 seconds and found that nothing happened. Everyone was stunned. Lin Xian, on the other hand, breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that the illusory fate had acknowledged him. Chapter 2372. This was great. The Crimson Dragon was excited, and Xing Tian was also extremely shocked. He didn't expect that the other party would actually pass all 3 of the dangerous tests. It seemed that the old palace master's decision was indeed wise and heroic. Could it be that this young man was destined to become Immortal Palace's master? Below, those elders and geniuses were also completely stunned. None of them dared to believe it. Damn it! He sat on it. He actually sat on it. He actually sat on it peacefully. No, this was impossible. I'm dreaming, they screamed crazily, because they really didn't believe that someone who had never joined Immortal Palace would actually become Immortal Palace's master the first time he came here. What kind of joke was this? How could they endure this? The 6 great protectors also looked at each other, their eyelids twitching crazily. Then they looked at each other, and all of them bowed to the front. Greetings, Palace Master. Greetings, Palace Master. The 6 of them bowed. This scene really stunned the surrounding people. When Xing Tian saw this, he also quickly greeted the Palace Master. When the others saw this, they were extremely shocked. They gritted their teeth, unwilling to accept this. However, at this moment, a cold voice sounded. What could it be that you want to rebel against Immortal Palace? These elders' bodies trembled. Although the other party was only a young man, although the other party's strength was inferior to theirs. However, the old palace master personally gave up his position. Moreover, the other party had indeed passed the 3 tests, so logically speaking, he should be Immortal Palace's master. Therefore, although they were unwilling, they still had to follow the rules at this moment. One elder after another, geniuses after another. All of them respectfully greeted the palace master. Damn it! Elder Lingshu was so angry that he gritted his teeth, but there was nothing he could do. He could only cup his fists. He shouted extremely unwillingly to greet the palace master. Seeing everyone paying their respects, Lin Xian sat on the black, celestial throne. He had a grand ambition that could swallow mountains and rivers. He waved his hand and said in a clear voice, "Elders, you are too polite. There is no need to be polite. I have just arrived. Although I have inherited the position of Palace Master, there are still many things that I don't understand. Immortal Palace's matters will be done the same as before. You don't have to worry." Lin Xian said this to make these people feel at ease. After all, these elders and prodigies had opposed him before. No, if he didn't promise them something, they would feel uneasy. This would instead affect Immortal Palace. Since Lin Xian had already become the master of Immortal Palace, everything he did had to be done in consideration of Immortal Palace. Thank you, Palace Master. The elders and geniuses below also understood. When they heard Lin Xian's words, they heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, the other party did not hold it against him. Otherwise, they would have a hard time in the future. All right, there's no need to be so polite. Lin Xian said. 6 great protectors. What's next? The 6 protectors replied, reporting to the palace lord. The banquet is coming up next. Palace lord, please come this way. Lin Xian nodded. He stood up from the black immortal throne and walked forward. There was a magnificent palace in front of them. Everyone walked towards the palace. After everyone had disappeared, an old figure appeared in the empty palace. It was Xia Zhiyo. He looked into the distance, his eyes flickering. Sure enough, this kid was destined to become the master of a mortal palace. He did not expect that other than the great dragon sword soul, he also had the heavenly secret divine eyes. This was the will of the heavens. Xia Zhiyo's figure flickered, and he disappeared again. No one knew what had happened. On the other side, the banquet was going on in the huge palace. It took a long time for everyone to disperse. Looking at the back of everyone, Lin Xian came out of the palace. He had his hands behind his back, his eyes flickering. No one knew what he was thinking. Xing Tian, Lin Xian shouted coldly. Young master, you're looking for me? Xing Tian appeared. Bring me the information of a mortal palace, including the information of the members, our sphere of influence, and the various rules of a mortal palace. Give it all to me. Yes. Xing Tian was already prepared. He took out a storage ring, and the young master was inside. Lin Xian took the storage ring and nodded slightly. All right, go and rest. I'll call you if there's anything. Yes. Xing Tian left. Lin Xian also returned to his room. Then his soul entered the storage ring, took out a pile of jade slips, and quickly read them. When he understood the general information, he was extremely shocked. He had to admit that Immortal Palace's strength was too terrifying, although it was not like before when they had a vast territory, but they were scattered all over the central state. There were people in all 9 imperial dynasties. In fact, there were even halls in each of the 9 imperial dynasties. There were peerless experts there to suppress and organize all kinds of missions. It could be said that those people held real power and had countless experts under them. They were very powerful. Previously, Xia Zhiyo was unparalleled and could intimidate these experts. However, Lin Xian did not know if he could intimidate them now. Lin Xian rubbed his head and sighed. Although these people were not convinced, they would not rebel. After all, Xia Zhiyo only gave up his position, not died. Even if these people were not afraid of him, they would be afraid of Xia Zhiyo. Lin Xian did not plan to touch these old guys. After all, these people were peerless experts, and there were even invincible kings. At present, they were too far away for him. Lin Xian planned to start with the young people first. He could not order these old people at all. He had to establish his own foundation. Then, the best goal was to recruit new people. It was not possible to recruit from outside. Therefore, Lin Xian could only set his eyes on these young people in Immortal Palace. Although these young people were also young geniuses, they were arrogant and unruly. But compared to those older generation figures, they were easier to deal with. At least Lin Xian was confident. In the same price, he would not be afraid of anyone. A night passed. The next morning, Lin Xian woke up from his cultivation. He first drank a mouthful of spirit tea, then stood up and walked outside. After washing up, Lin Xian came outside. Immortal Palace was such a huge organization. They definitely would not be too idle. After all, although they were powerful with many people, but the resources they needed were also many. Moreover, these people would not wander around if they had nothing to do. They would rather cultivate than waste time. Young master, you're up. Xing Tian was still waiting outside. Lin Xian nodded and said, Give me an order. Give me an order. Have all of Immortal Palace's younger generation. Unless there are special circumstances, within the remaining 3 days, all of them are to arrive. The young generation. Hearing this, Xing Tian frowned. It seemed that the young master was going to take action. He said, "I'll go give the order now." However, he did not leave. Instead, he said, "Young master, other than me, the 6 great protectors are also trustworthy." The 6 great protectors? I got it. If there are difficulties, I will ask them for help. Lin Xian nodded. Xing Tian strode away to pass on the order. Sigh. Lin Xian sighed. At the side, the Crimson Dragon said, "Kid, what are you sighing for?" Chapter 2373. Sigh. Lin Xian sighed. On the side, the Crimson Dragon said, "Kid, what are you sighing for? You're the master of a mortal palace. You can do whatever you want when you go out in the future. It's not that simple. Although you're the palace master, you have too few people under you. Not to mention doing whatever you want. You can't even send a message now." Lin Xian shook his head. Indeed, there was only Xing Tian under him now. There was no one else. Xing Tian was sent by Xia Zhiyo to protect his safety. But now, he had become an errand boy. There was no choice. Lin Xian had no one else, so he had to quickly gather the younger generation. He had to quickly establish his own foundation. Although Xing Tian said that the 6 great protectors would do their best to help him, the 6 great protectors had their own missions after all. Moreover, although using the 6 great protectors could suppress him for a while, it was not a long-term solution. Lin Xian's order was quickly passed down. Those young geniuses who had not left stopped their journey. Those who had already left also hurried back. There was no choice. Although they were unwilling, this was the new palace master's first order after all. They were not willing to violate it. These people hurried back one after another. In the 9 great imperial dynasties, those young warriors in the halls also moved when they received the news. What new palace master? He was just a brat. What was he doing? Those hall masters were very disdainful and did not care. They did not care. Among them, a few young men sneered. "Let me see what this palace master looks like. I want to see what qualifications he has to lead us." 3 days later, when Lin Xian came out of the main hall and looked at the square in front of him, he was extremely shocked because there were countless figures standing in front of him. These were all young warriors of a mortal palace. They had talent and strength. More importantly, they had immortal palace behind them. They had powerful resources and countless cultivation methods and abilities. It could be said that their future achievements were limitless. At the front, when the young martial practitioners saw Lin Xian come out, their eyes lit up as they looked over carefully. After all, this was the new palace master. Many young geniuses had seen Lin Xian before, but there were also many who hadn't. These people had all come from other places. When they saw Lin Xian, who seemed to be even younger than them, they were all shocked. He couldn't even believe it. Too young. Although they knew that the other party was a young man, they did not expect him to be so young. Could such a person really lead them? They didn't know, and were extremely doubtful. However, rules still had to be followed. Thus, at this moment, everyone shouted in unison, paying their respects to the palace master. Lin Xian nodded his head slightly. Regardless of whether these people were sincere or not, the current scene was truly shocking. "My name is Lin Xian, Immortal Palace's new palace master. I believe some of you have already met me. It doesn't matter if you haven't seen me before. From now on, you will know me. As for how I became the palace master, you can ask your friends. I think they won't forget what happened that day." Upon hearing this, many young sky prides rolled their eyes. However, the other party was right. They would probably never forget the scene of that day for the rest of their lives. At this moment, Lin Xian said in a clear voice again, "This time, I've gathered you here to select a group of elites from you and focus on nurturing them. Select the elites and focus on nurturing them." Hearing this, these people were in an uproar. To be honest, they didn't expect it either. Previously, they only thought that the new palace master wanted to meet them. And they also wanted to meet the so-called new palace master. Perhaps they didn't expect that the other party would actually choose the elites among them. How would they choose? Would they compete? Many people were excited. After all, if they were chosen, they would definitely get more resources. However, some people sneered disdainfully. Among them, a few people had contempt in their eyes. They were originally curious about what kind of person the new palace master was, but now that they saw him, they were extremely disappointed. As for the selection, they didn't need it. Of course, those who made these disdainful sounds were the elites of the 9 great halls. They were originally valued by the halls. In fact, some of the sons of the halls were here. They could tell at a glance what Lin Xian wanted to do. He definitely wanted to rope them in and establish his own faction. They were not interested in such a thing. Lin Xian stood with his hands behind his back. His eyes flickered as he looked down. He was looking at everyone's expression. Then the corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. Now, let's begin the selection. There are a total of 2 stages. Try your best to break through. After Lin Xian finished speaking, he waved his hand, and the great dragon sword soul immediately flew out and descended from the sky, forming a stairway with 99 steps. At the same time, Lin Xian formed a seal with his palms. His heavenly secret divine eyes spun rapidly, emitting mysterious runes that formed a golden vortex. What? This is... When the young elites saw this scene, they were extremely shocked. Why does it look similar to the 3 stages of the sacrificial ceremony, the 99 steps, the 6 paths of reincarnation? Although there was only one golden vortex, the terrifying aura it emitted was extremely terrifying. That move shocked everyone. That's the new palace master? Judging from his aura, he's not very strong, but I didn't expect him to be so clever. Humph. The 9 people at the entrance of the hall also snorted softly, then sneered disdainfully. That's nothing. He must have used some secret technique after becoming the palace master. If I become the palace master, I'll definitely be stronger than him. Rosalong, I'll leave the selection of these 2 stages to you. Xing Tian, invite the sons of the 9 great halls over. They don't need to be selected. Don't worry, kid, the Crimson Dragon said with a smile. Xing Tian also walked forward and invited the 9 people over. Lin Xian turned around and entered the hall to wait. Indeed, the 9 people did not need to be selected because their identities were not ordinary. If nothing went wrong, they would be the future palace masters. They were different from the others. Lin Xian wanted to meet the 9 of them alone. However, a total of 7 of the 9 came because the other 2 did not come because they had special missions. Lin Xian did not mind if there were 7 of them. Among the 7 people, there were tall and short, but without exception, they all had arrogant and confident looks on their faces. Lin Xian had seen this expression on the faces of countless peerless elites before. Therefore, he did not mind. When the 7 people saw Lin Xian, they did not bother to be courteous. Instead, they sized him up without restraint. There was even a hint of provocation in the eyes of a few of them. Among them, a handsome young man looked at Lin Xian and sneered. Is this the new palace master you chose? I think he's worse than me. Why don't you let me be the palace master? I promise I can make the immortal palace shine. This person's words were full of arrogance. He did not take Lin Xian seriously at all. Chapter 2374. Hearing this, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. Xing Tian, who was at the side, shouted angrily, Yang Jian, what do you mean? Are you thinking of rebelling? All right, don't scare me. Xing Tian, do you really think he can be the hall master? He's just a young kid who isn't as strong as us. Who can submit to him? This is a joke. I don't have time to play with you guys here. As he said that, Yang Jian snorted coldly, flicked his sleeves, and turned to leave. The other 6 people sneered. They wanted to see what the new hall master would do. He was slapped in the face as soon as he entered. He's probably mad. However, the 6 of them were soon stunned. They realized that he was still smiling and didn't look angry at all. What's going on? Is he not angry at all? Pretentious? He must be pretentious. He must be furious, but he didn't show it on his face. The few of them thought. One of them snorted coldly. So he's just a fool. Sure enough, after that, 2 of them sneered. Since there's nothing else, we'll take our leave. As they said that, the 2 of them left. In that case, there were only 4 people left. 1 pound. Xing Tian's face was gloomy. Lin Xian, on the other hand, looked at the 4 of them. He then asked, "Why? Aren't the 4 of you leaving?" "Hee, we don't want to leave yet," a young man said with a smile. He sat down on a chair and crossed his legs. His expression was very relaxed. The other 3 also sat down. "Don't want to leave? All right then." Lin Xian waved his hand, and a cup of spirit tea appeared in his hand. Then he flicked his finger, and 4 teacups instantly appeared on the table of the 4 of them. Phew! Lin Xian raised the glazed teacup and poured himself a cup. Then he poured it into the air. The strange thing was that the tea seemed to be affected by magic in the air and instantly surged into the teacups of the 4 of them. Not a single drop leaked out. Lin Xian placed the teapot on the table and picked up the cup. "Try it. This is a spirit tea that I specially made. It's very delicious." As he said that, he took a sip. The young man who had his legs crossed took the lead and took a sip. The other 3 took a sip and then put down their teacups. "I'm a very easy person to get along with. Since we've drunk tea, we're friends." It was just that Kai didn't know how to address number 4. Hui Chen, the son of the 5th hall master. Chen Haoyu, the son of the 7th hall master. Lu Jie, the son of the 8th hall master. Du Shenwei, the son of the 4th hall master. Su Chen silently remembered their names, and then said, "Tomorrow I'll invite everyone to go hunting." He hoped that all 4 of them would come. "Since the 3 of them have left, I hope that the 4 of you will inform the others. Although they left today, I don't blame them." He hoped that they would come tomorrow as well. After saying this, Lin Xian stood up and left. At the side, Xing Tian followed behind. After they came out, Xing Tian took a deep breath. The first to leave was the 3rd hall master's son, Yang Jian. The 2 who walked behind him were the sons of Hall Master 6 and Hall Master 9. One was called Pei Yuan, and the other was called Xiaohui. The 3 of them were in cahoots. Among them, the 3rd hall master was very domineering. He was usually very arrogant. Now that the old hall master had abdicated and young master had just ascended the throne, he would probably not take you seriously. 3rd hall master. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. Then he came to the square again and looked into the distance. At this moment, those people were conducting the test in the square. After watching for a while, Lin Xian went back. There was no need for him to stay here. He just needed to let the Crimson Dragon report the results when the time came. As expected, when night fell, the Crimson Dragon came in. This kid took in a total of 500 people. Among them, more than 30 of them probably came with a purpose. They were probably spies from those halls. As expected, they still made a move. Lin Xian frowned. Then he asked, "Are the remaining people reliable?" They were all reliable. They didn't have much of a relationship with the halls. Most of them were suppressed and couldn't survive in the first place. At this moment, we're providing him with an opportunity, so these people rushed over. "That's good." Lin Xian nodded. Then he said, "Don't touch those spies. Just alienate them so that they can't come into contact with our core members." This was easy, the Crimson Dragon said. Then Lin Xian said, "Pick the 200 strongest elites out of the remaining 400 people, carry out special training. As for the remaining 100 or so, they had to cultivate diligently as well. Every month, they would be given a challenge. Those who could defeat 200 elite members would directly enter the elite group. Good idea. I'll do it now. The Crimson Dragon smiled. Lin Xian said again, "All right, find me a few smart ones. I'm really short of manpower." "Okay, wait for me." The Crimson Dragon left quickly. Actually, it was very troublesome for him to pick people. However, Lin Xian's 6 paths of reincarnation allowed him to see all of these people's experiences and characters. Therefore, he knew very well what these people were like and whether they were spies or not. "Xing Tian, help me lead the 200 elite groups. You must give them the strictest training." "Yes, young master." Xing Tian nodded. Not long after, the Crimson Dragon came back. This time, he brought 5 people with him. These 5 people followed behind the Crimson Dragon. They were very excited and nervous at the same time. They came in front of Lin Xian and shouted respectfully, "Greetings, Temple Master. What are your names?" Lin Xian asked. "Zhang Chao, Zheng Yan, Wang Bin, Lu Kai, Sun Xiao." "Well, you guys can follow me for the time being." "Yes, young master." The 5 of them were excited. Lin Xian said, "Ruzalong, give them some instructions." "Follow me." The Crimson Dragon waved his dragon claws excitedly. 1 pound. Xing Tian frowned slightly. "Young master, although these people are very talented and loyal, however, they are still lacking compared to the top geniuses." "Indeed." Lin Xian nodded. Compared to the sons of the 9 hall masters, they were still lacking. As for those with strength and talent, they had long been divided up by the 9 great halls. The remaining ones were all suppressed on normal days. Lin Xian turned around and looked at Xing Tian. "You know, Immortal Palace well. Don't tell me there aren't any people who come and go alone and are not restricted by any hall?" "Young master, there really are some. There are quite a few of them. However, they are very difficult to recruit. Previously, they only listened to the old temple master. The 9 hall masters couldn't order them around. They even tried to recruit them more than once, but they were all rejected mercilessly. There really are some. Give me a few of the younger generation." Xing Tian thought for a moment and said, "Young master, why don't I give them an order and ask them to hurry back?" "Are they outside now?" Lin Xian asked. "These people don't have any missions. They are probably cultivating. All right, there's no need to ask them to come. I'll find them myself." Soon, Lin Xian left. In a flash, he left the palace according to the information Xing Tian gave him. Chapter 2375. Whoosh. In the sky, a black ray of light streaked across the sky and then disappeared. The full moon illuminated the earth. At this moment, Lin Xian was walking in the forest like a ghost. There was a big waterfall in front of him, making a rumbling sound. Under the waterfall, a figure was sitting cross-legged. He was like a statue, not moving at all. Beside him, there was a saber stuck in the ground. On the other side was a full moon machete. The surrounding space was strangely distorted, and even light couldn't pass through it. Buzz. Suddenly, the figure opened his eyes and cut the waterfall in front of him in an instant. "Who are you? Come out." Whoosh. Lin Xian's figure appeared behind him. In front of him, the figure sitting cross-legged also stood up. His gaze was like a blade cutting across the void. However, he was blocked 3 meters in front of Lin Xian. There was an invisible force around him that blocked his terrifying gaze. Seeing this scene, the figure frowned. "Who are you?" Lin Xian didn't answer. Instead, he asked, "Are you Hui Dao?" "Yes." The figure in front of him answered indifferently, and the light in his eyes became stronger and stronger, because he found that the other party didn't answer his question. After Lin Xian got the answer, a smile appeared on his face. Very good. From today on, you will follow me. You are courting death. Hui Dao was furious. No one had ever dared to say such words to him. He was a young master of Immortal Palace. Clang! With a clang, the full moon machete beside him was pulled out in an instant. The surrounding wind and clouds changed, and heaven and earth lost their color. The terrifying light of the blades swept in all directions. A huge wave of energy slashed forward. Whoosh! When Hui Dao moved, Lin Xian also moved. His figure swayed, and he disappeared in an instant. As soon as he disappeared, the space where he stood was split into two halves, and terrifying black cracks spread. Buzz! Hui Dao's machete missed its target, and he also frowned. The other party's speed was very fast, which was beyond his expectation. However, so what? Whoosh! His eyes swept around like lightning, and soon he locked onto the other party on the left. The next moment, the full moon machete in his hand slashed out again. It was as if a purple thunderbolt had descended to the world. Clang! The sound of an intense collision rang out, and the full moon scimitar was blocked in midair. An ancient sword swept across the sky, cutting through everything. Who are you? Hui Dao frowned. His opponent was strong enough to block his two strikes. This surprised him. One had to know that a casual slash of his saber could easily kill a mighty figure. Beat me and I'll tell you, if you lose, you have to come with me and become one of my people. Overconfident, Hui Dao snorted. I only used half of my strength just now. Is that so? Then you should use your full strength. Otherwise, you won't have another chance. Lin Xian smiled. The ancient dragon abyss sword in his hand exploded, emitting a biting cold light. He took the initiative to attack. Chaotic Heaven Destroyer Sword. In an instant, countless sword shadows appeared in the sky. They were like huge dragons as they swept across. Full moon blade technique. At this moment, the scimitar in Hui Dao's hand seemed to have turned into a cold moon, constantly crushing the void and rapidly bombarding the sword chi all over the sky. The battle between the two was earth-shattering. Everything around them exploded in an instant. The tall mountain peak was split into several petals, and the huge waterfall spread out from the middle, no longer flowing water. The two fought fiercely, exuding a terrifying aura. Demon Seal, Lin Xian shouted coldly. A terrifying aura erupted from the ancient dragon abyss sword, and the sound of a dragon and sword rang out. Countless sword chi appeared in the sky, constantly rotating as if to seal the whole world. Hui Dao's pupils shrank. He felt a threat and immediately shouted angrily. Death Moon. With a slash, the sword chi from the full moon scimitar rotated in the air, forming a purple moon. The terrifying light swept in all directions like a real full moon. With a power that made people tremble, it resisted all the rotating sword chi around it. The two were evenly matched in this attack. Lin Xian was surprised. He was indeed one of the experts given to him by Xing Tian. He was indeed powerful. Hui Dao frowned completely. Who was his opponent? How could he block his killing move? Kill! He roared, and the aura on his body erupted again. Moon wheel! The full moon scimitar in his hand swept out, and a huge moon pushed in the air, smashing the sword chi all over the sky. Battle song! The ancient dragon abyss sword shone, and the sound of the sword rang out continuously. The sky shook, and the earth shook. The terrifying sound of the sword made everyone's scalp tingle. The moon that was pushed over also trembled, and then countless cracks appeared on it. Sky shattering. Another sword move, and the world lost its color. The terrifying full moon collapsed directly, turned into countless spiritual chi, and dissipated. A terrifying sword chi rose from the heavens and the earth. Buzz! Hui Dao roared when he sensed the terrifying sword chi. His black hair fluttered, and the scimitar radiance on his body shone. The scimitar radiance rushed into the sky to fight against the shocking sword chi. The collision of the sword and the saber tore countless big cracks in the sky. The surrounding land was covered with tens of thousands of meters wide canyons, and the terrifying sword chi covered an area of tens of thousands of miles. Ah, boy, you have completely angered me. Today, I will show you my real saber skill. Demon-slaying saber. At this moment, Huidao's aura changed. It was also extremely fierce and terrifying. Thick black chi emerged from his body. At this moment, he seemed to have turned into a demon king, and his shocking, murderous, intent soared into the sky. He slashed out with his saber. The black saber radiance was terrifying, as if a demon king had come out. Humph, this is interesting. Seeing the fierce and cold devil saber, Lin Xian laughed. The great dragon sword soul in his body roared, and its eyes emitted a biting cold light. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The ancient dragon abyss sword in his hand swung wildly, and its power increased exponentially. The sword swept out in all directions. In the sky, countless sword chi and sword chi collided, making sonorous sounds. 18 demon-slaying slashes, Huidao roared, and his body quickly rose into the sky. He quickly waved the full moon saber in his hand. 18 rays of sword chi rolled out like deadly sword chi, rampaging in the sky. Boy, go to hell! He roared crazily, wanting to kill the powerful enemy in front of him. Buzz. Lin Xian held the ancient dragon abyss sword in his hand, and the great dragon sword soul in his body erupted again, becoming more and more powerful. In the end, the dragon's roar kept ringing. The surrounding wind blew violently, and heaven and earth lost their color. The ancient dragon abyss sword in his hand suddenly expanded and turned into a giant sword that was thousands of meters long. Lin Xian held it with both hands and slashed forward. Lin Xian roared, waved the giant ancient sword and slashed forward. The whole world was directly split by the sword, and the airwaves rolled and slapped in all directions. There was a huge crack in the sky, accompanied by the ancient sword. It kept appearing in the surroundings. Boom, boom, boom. 18 black saber radiances and the giant ancient sword collided in the sky, setting off a terrible storm. Countless thunderbolts fell, and heaven and earth were directly shattered. Chapter 2376. Damn it. How could his sword chi be so strong? Hu Yidao's expression changed, and he kept retreating. However, the ancient sword was too terrifying. It directly crushed the 18 devil sabers, and then pressed down on Hu Yidao. Hu Yidao roared and struck again with the terrifying black saber light, forming a black moon in the sky to resist. 1, 2, 3. Finally, 9 moons rotated in the sky, as if they were going to destroy the whole world. Boom, boom. However, this sword was too terrifying. In the end, the 9 moons were shattered and turned into billowing devil chi. Hu Yidao was enveloped again. Devil shadow steps. At this critical moment, the black chi on Hu Yidao's body burst out, forming 2 black devil wings that cut through the void. Relying on his superb speed, Hu Yidao finally dodged the sword by a hair's breadth. Phew! He gasped for breath, and his face was a little pale. Damn it! Who the hell is this? How could his swordsmanship be so terrifying? His face was gloomy. He found that he had encountered a powerful enemy. Not bad. You were able to dodge my sword. Your strength is very strong, and you have gained my approval. At this moment, a calm voice floated from behind. Hu Yidao. Buzz. Hu Yidao's body stiffened, and his pupils suddenly shrank to the size of needles. Damn it. When did the other party get behind him? Phew. He didn't turn his head, but struck back with his saber. At the same time, the devil wings on his back carried him forward. Clang! The full moon saber collided with the ancient dragon abyss sword, making a thunderous sound. Then Hui Dao flew forward. However, his arm was numb. That huge force had frozen the qi and blood in his body. The sword suppressed the sky. A terrifying sword qi appeared in the sky, like a giant dragon that kept circling. The sword qi in the sky turned into a sword diagram and pressed down from the sky. "Get out of here!" Hu Yidao roared and frantically slashed out saber light, tearing the sky apart. However, he couldn't shake the sword diagram at all. Devil-slaying palm. With a roar, he held the saber in his right hand and slapped out a big black palm with his left hand. Heaven and earth lost their color. There seemed to be ghosts wailing and wolves howling on the black palm as if it had flown out of hell. Boom! The palm hit the sword diagram, shaking the void. Countless cracks appeared in the surroundings. Demonic qi billowed and spread in all directions. The sword diagram also began to tremble. More sword light descended from above, piercing through the large black palm. Wung, wung, wung. Not only that, 18 sword lights descended like 18 heavenly swords, surrounding Hui Dao in an instant. Damn it! Hui Dao roared angrily. The saber radiance on his body was sharp and fierce. He slashed out with his saber. He wanted to break out. However, it was blocked by the terrifying sword qi. "Brat, you forced me to do this." Trapped in the distance, Hui Dao roared. Countless blades and flags rolled around his body, and a purple mark appeared between his eyebrows. The power in his body was also increasing rapidly. Evidently, he had used some sort of secret technique. Seeing this, Lin Xian frowned. Lin Xian did not intend to engage in a protracted battle with the other party. Therefore, in the next moment, with a tap of his foot, Lin Xian charged forward like a divine dragon, swinging its tail. "You want to stop me? Impossible!" Hui Dao sneered. The countless saber lights on his body formed a sphere that completely covered the space within a radius of 10 meters around him. No one could break it. Wung! Soon, Hui Dao's pupils shrank, because the defense formed by the saber lights in front of him was cut open by the sword. An ancient sword was placed on his neck. Whoosh! The aura that erupted from his body froze in an instant. A drop of cold sweat trickled down from his forehead. The sword just now was too fast and too terrifying. If the other party had not stopped, his head would have been sent flying. "Why don't you kill me?" Hu Yidao asked with a frown. "It's impossible for me to surrender to you. Kill me if you have the guts." Wung! Lin Xian withdrew the ancient dragon abyss sword and said in a deep voice, "I am Lin Xian, the new master of Immortal Palace." "What? You're Lin Xian, the new master of Immortal Palace?" Hu Yidao was shocked. Of course, he had seen the announcement of Immortal Palace. He also knew that the old master had abdicated, and a young man had taken over the position of the master of Immortal Palace. He did not go to the enthronement ceremony because he did not think that the other party could lead him. In his eyes, the only person who could make him admire was the old master. But now, the other party's strength really shocked him. It seemed that he was wrong. The other party was completely different from the rumors. Although the other party was young, his strength was undoubtedly at the top of the younger generation. "Follow me. I am very short of people now," Lin Xian said in a deep voice. "Good," Hu Yidao said in a sonorous voice. "Your strength has convinced me. I have decided to work for you. However, if one day I am able to defeat you, then I will leave your side." "Okay." Lin Xian nodded and smiled confidently, because he did not think that day would come. "Let's go." Lin Xian turned around and rushed to the sky. Behind him, Hu Yidao put away his scimitar and followed him. The two of them disappeared into the night, sky one after the other. In the Star Palace, the Crimson Dragon and Xing Tian were waiting. Xing Tian was a little worried. That was because he had no idea how powerful Lin Xian truly was. Could he defeat Hui Dao? But soon he frowned and looked into the distance. Then he was shocked because he saw two figures in the sky coming back quickly and coming to the main hall in the blink of an eye. Young master, seeing Lin Xian come back, Xing Tian walked up to him. When he saw Hui Dao behind Lin Xian, he was also shocked. One strike, you... Xing Tian was surprised. Lin Xian said with a smile, after one strike, you will be one of us. Hearing that, Xing Tian gasped. It seemed that the young master had defeated Hui Dao. It was just that the battle was over in such a short time. He did not dare to imagine, because from the time Lin Xian left until now, excluding the time spent on the road, it was estimated that the battle took less than 30 minutes. He defeated Hui Dao in 30 minutes. This shocked Xing Tian. After all, Hui Dao was a top heavenly talent. It seemed that the young master's strength was far beyond his expectations. Well, let's take a rest. We still have business to do tomorrow. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. Xing Tian gave him 3 people, one of whom was Hui Dao. Now he had been subdued by him. As for the other 2, Lin Xian was not in a hurry to make a move, because he did have other things to do tomorrow. After tomorrow's matter was settled, he would take the other 2 as his subordinates. The night passed. The next day, the sun rose. Lin Xian stood in the void, inhaling and exhaling purple clouds and purple qi, and cultivating. When the purple clouds disappeared, he came back, washed up, and had breakfast. Of course, the breakfast he had was not ordinary. The rice was a top-grade spiritual medicine. It was hard to find even one outside. In the past, Lin Xian could not eat this kind of food because it was too extravagant. But now his status had changed. He was the master of the Immortal Palace, so he naturally had to enjoy the best resources. Chapter 2377. After eating a bowl of rice, Lin Xian felt that the qi and blood in his body were surging like a furnace of heaven and earth, burning fiercely with endless power. How extravagant! Lin Xian also sighed. He knew that the people of these big forces and sects had a lot of resources, but when he really came in, he found that they were more extravagant than he thought. He guessed that the disciples of the Holy Lands and the remote antiquity families were treated like this since they were young. Thinking of those things that he fought desperately for before, Lin Xian really felt that cultivation was not easy. After Lin Xian finished his meal, Xing Tian and Hui Dao arrived at the same time. Young master, everyone is ready. They are waiting outside. Xing Tian said. Well, let's go out. Lin Xian nodded. Young master, it's fine if you take those people to hunt, but why do you invite the sons of the 9 hall masters? They can't win them over. Hui Dao was puzzled. Indeed, the 9 people had different identities, and they would inherit the hall in the future. Lin Xian smiled. Who said that I'm trying to win them over? Then why do I invite them? It's very simple. I'm trying to show my power. Lin Xian said lightly and walked forward. Hearing this, Hui Dao and Xing Tian's pupils shrank sharply. They seemed to have guessed what Lin Xian was going to do. However, their hearts were beating wildly. It was not easy to make an example of the sons of the hall masters. If it went wrong and aroused the dissatisfaction of the 9 hall masters, things would be difficult. However, the 2 of them were relieved that the old hall master was still there. They were afraid that no one would dare to rebel. At most, it would cause some dissatisfaction. Therefore, the 2 of them followed Lin Xian outside. Outside, the 500-year-old martial artists who were selected yesterday were standing there. Lin Xian looked at those people and waved his hand. Let's go. Qixia Mountain. It was a continuous mountain range nearby. There was abundant spiritual energy and many monsters, including ordinary small monsters and giant monster kings. It could be said that it was a very suitable place for hunting. Of course, only the strong could hunt. Weak martial artists would probably become lunch for these demonic beasts. Lin Xian and the others landed on the Western Gorge Mountain from the sky. More than 500 people gathered together, and the aura they exuded shocked all the demonic beasts. The ordinary demonic beasts immediately fled. In addition to the 500 people brought by Lin Xian, many young martial artists had also arrived at the 9 halls. 6 of the 9 hall masters' sons had also come. This surprised Lin Xian. It seemed that other than the 2 who couldn't come because of their mission, only Yang Jian didn't come out of the 7 who came yesterday. At this moment, these people gathered together to chat and exchange information. Many people were even guessing what was going to happen next. That was because they didn't think that the other party had asked them to come here just for a simple hunting trip. Among them, Hui Chen and the rest were also gathered together to chat and laugh. Their expressions were extremely relaxed. However, when they looked ahead and saw Hui Dao behind Lin Xian, they were stunned. They didn't expect that Hui Dao would also come and stand behind the new temple master. No way. Wasn't this guy very arrogant? He had always been alone and didn't even pay attention to the 9 halls. Why was he standing behind that guy today? Pay attention to your words. Don't let others hear you. You should call him Temple Master now. Okay. Give him face and call him Temple Master. These people were chatting and laughing. It seemed that they still didn't take Lin Xian seriously. However, they were extremely surprised by Hu Yidao's appearance. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and looked around. Behind him, Xing Tian whispered, "Young master, Yang Jian hasn't come yet. Don't worry about him. When it's about time, we'll start." After waiting for about half an hour and finding that no one else came, Lin Xian stood up and waved his hand. Everyone quieted down and turned their gazes over. "I called everyone here today mainly to hunt. You are all the young talents of Immortal Palace, the top elites, and the future pillars of Immortal Palace. I just came to Immortal Palace and hoped to have an opportunity to communicate with you, so I held this hunt. I hope that we can work together to build Immortal Palace in the future. If you have any requests or suggestions, you can tell me. If you have any difficulties, you can also tell me. Just treat me as your friend." Lin Xian's voice spread clearly in all directions. It seemed that he didn't treat himself as the temple master at all. Instead, he talked to these people with a very equal status. The people that Lin Xian called over were extremely excited. They had been suppressed before. When had they ever been valued so much? Moreover, this new temple master looked so amiable, which made them very excited. However, those people in the 9 halls didn't say anything. They naturally knew that the other party was obviously trying to win people's hearts by doing this. Among them, Pei Yuan and Xiao Hui, who had a good relationship with Yang Jian, snorted disdainfully. A trace of contempt appeared in their eyes. What was the use of winning over those people? They were all people that their halls didn't want. Although they were elite geniuses outside, they were too ordinary in Immortal Palace. Such people couldn't compare to the geniuses and elites of their 9 halls at all. It seemed that this temple master was really a good-for-nothing. He could only pick up people that the 9 halls didn't want. In front, Lin Xian didn't care at all. He continued to speak in a clear voice. "Although today is a hunting trip, let's have some excitement." It was morning now, and the sunset was already the boundary. Before sunset, whoever hunted the most powerful demonic beasts and had the most numbers would be the winner. Then, whoever got first place would be the winner. As for the winner, I have a reward. The reward is a heaven tier cultivation technique and a secondary heaven tier artifact. What? Hearing this, everyone was shocked and sucked in a breath of cold air. The eyes of those young martial artists blossomed with astonishing light. Heaven tier cultivation technique. Secondary heaven tier artifact. Heavens, they were extremely shocked, although they were all members of Immortal Palace and were geniuses. However, heaven tier cultivation techniques and secondary heaven tier artifacts weren't cabbages. It wasn't something that anyone could cultivate. Immortal Palace had a complete system of ranks and contribution points. When your cultivation strength broke through and reached the corresponding rank, you could cultivate the corresponding cultivation technique. You would obtain the corresponding pills and weapons. In addition, if you wanted to skip ranks and exchange, you would need to use contribution points. The various missions issued by Immortal Palace were used to obtain contribution points. Once you accumulated enough contribution points, even if your strength wasn't enough, you could still obtain high-level cultivation techniques. Therefore, although these young geniuses and elites were powerful, they were only cultivating Earth tier cultivation techniques. The highest level was also the top Earth tier. As for Heaven tier cultivation techniques, perhaps only Hui Chen and Pei Yuan were qualified to cultivate them. As for secondary Heaven tier artifacts, perhaps even Hui Chen and Pei Yuan didn't have them. Even Xing Tian and Hui Dao, who were behind them, sucked in a breath of cold air. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and said with a smile, "Yi Dao, you can also participate." "Young master, then I won't be polite." Hui Dao grinned. Lin Xian turned his head again. "Xing Tian, do you want to try too?" Chapter 2378. Forget it, I won't join in the fun with them. Xing Tian shook his head. Although he looked young, he did not belong to the younger generation. If he wanted to fight, he would definitely be the first. Even Hui Dao would not be able to beat him. However, if that happened, it would be useless. He knew that Lin Xian's goal was to stimulate these people with this kind of top-notch reward. In the past few days, Lin Xian's behavior had greatly shocked Xing Tian. Although the young man in front of him was young, his strength was powerful, and his methods were also impressive. He had just become the master of Immortal Palace, but he was very friendly and did not put on any airs. Now, the hunting scene showed his forthrightness and generosity. He rewarded his subordinates generously. This was the perfect image of the Immortal Palace master in everyone's heart. Just as everyone was excited, a burst of applause suddenly sounded in the distance. As expected of the new Immortal Palace master, he really had a good way of winning people over. However, the people you've gathered are a bit trash. They're all people that we, the 9 Great Halls, don't want. The elite geniuses of the 9 Great Halls are not people that can be lured away by your small favors. As soon as this voice came out, everyone's expression changed. The 500 warriors recruited by Lin Xian were immediately angry. They glared at him, and their bodies emitted a biting cold, killing intent. The people at the 9 halls looked like they were watching a show. Hui Chen and the others had a playful look on their faces. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes, while Xing Tian and Hui Dao frowned and looked at the sky. Damn it, who is it? How dare they cause trouble here? The Crimson Dragon was also so angry that he gritted his teeth. In the next moment, they were stunned. The murderous aura released by the 500 people froze in an instant because they found that a figure was walking over from the distance. The other party stepped in the air. He was abnormally tall, and his figure was like a demon. Yang Jian, the son of the 3rd Hall Master. Moreover, he was powerful and one of the top geniuses of Immortal Palace. Therefore, the people below only dared to be angry, but did not dare to say anything. Yang Jian, don't talk nonsense. Xing Tian shouted coldly. Nonsense? How am I talking nonsense? Every word I said is the truth. Yang Jian stood in the void and looked down on everyone. He was very domineering. The people at the 3 halls naturally sneered. Pei Yuan and Xiao Hui also harumphed coldly. However, Hui Chen and the others did not agree. Although they were all part of the 9 great halls, their relationship with Yang Jian was also just ordinary. Moreover, Lin Xian didn't have any ill intentions towards them. They felt that this new palace master's attitude was quite good. Therefore, at this moment they did not help either of them, and looked like they were watching a show. Yang Jian looked down from the sky. When he saw Lin Xian, his eyes were filled with disdain. However, when he saw Hui Dao behind Lin Xian, he was stunned. He didn't expect that Hui Dao would show up and stand behind him. Damn it, what's going on? Yang Jian was confused because Hui Dao was a very arrogant person. He didn't even give face to the 9 halls. Why was he standing behind him? Of course, he did not think that this was Lin Xian's ability. Instead, he thought that this was the old palace master's arrangement. Therefore, Yang Jian sneered. Hui Dao, why are you also siding with them? When did your taste become so bad? Humph! Hui Dao snorted coldly and ignored him. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. It seemed that Hui Dao was still as arrogant as ever. However, this was exactly what he wanted. Today's hunting was not his real purpose, and the reward was just a casual thing. His real purpose was to establish his authority. Originally, he was still thinking that if Yang Jian didn't come, who would be the best candidate for the remaining disciples of the 9 great halls. But now, there was no need to think about it. Hui Dao was here. Yang Jian was powerful and had a high status, but he was also extremely arrogant. He was the best candidate to establish his authority. Hui Dao was so arrogant that he didn't take him, the palace master, seriously. He had already violated the rules of the immortal palace. Not only that, Hui Dao also despised and humiliated the newly recruited warriors, which could be said to have aroused public anger. Among the other halls, probably only Xiaohui and Pei Yuan supported Yang Jian, so they were in the minority. Therefore, even if Lin Xian were to make his move later, there would not be too many people who would support him. After all, Hui Dao had no advantage in terms of numbers or rules. Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile at the thought of this. He didn't make a move immediately, because he felt that it was not the right time. At this time, Yang Jian spoke again in the sky. How is it, new palace master? I'm not too late, am I? It's not too late. Lin Xian nodded. Since you're here, come down, and let's go hunting together. If you can get first place, the reward is yours. Seeing this scene, the surrounding warriors were in an uproar. Among them, Pei Yuan sneered. Would Brother Yang care about that little reward? Xiaohui sneered. This palace master is not very good. He's not even angry. It seems that Brother Yang is more dignified. I think Brother Yang is more suitable to be the new palace master. The others were also discussing, because they felt that Lin Xian seemed to be a little too tolerant and didn't even have a trace of anger. This shouldn't be. Even Hui Chen and the others frowned. Young master, do you want me to teach him a lesson? Behind him, Xing Tian asked quickly. At the side, Hui Dao was also puzzled. Because he had fought with Lin Xian before, he naturally knew that Lin Xian's strength was very powerful. He was probably stronger than Yang Jian. But why did Yang Jian have to swallow his anger? Lin Xian shook his head slightly. No need, I'll deal with him later. Let's start the hunt first. Yes, I know. Xing Tian retreated, while Lin Xian looked forward and said loudly. Now, the hunt begins. Buzz. Hearing this, everyone was extremely excited and moved quickly. They even forgot their previous displeasure. Those people rose into the air one after another and flew in all directions. Qixia Mountain was very vast. The mountains were millions of miles long, and at a glance it was all dense forest. Towering trees rose one after another. There were also many monsters inside, but at this moment, they were like birds that were startled by the twang of a bough and fled quickly. After all, this was only the periphery, and there were only some small monsters. Those people also flew inside quickly. "Ha, let's go hunting. They won't be able to touch a single hair." Yang Jian laughed and left with the people of the three halls. Next to him were Xiao Hui and Pei Yuan. The two of them also brought the people of their respective halls. The group of people moved in a grandiose manner, forming a sizable force, just like the kings of Buddha Mountain. "Let's go." Ho Yichen and the others also laughed. Among them, Ho Yichen took out a big black bow. "I haven't used my sky frost bow for a long time. Damn, you even brought this treasure here?" The people next to him were surprised. This bow was made of the bones of an 8-star monster king. It could be said that it was a peerless treasure. "You're cheating." "Hee, I also brought my flying leopard bow." The people of these halls took out their treasures one after another. Chapter 2379. "Hee, I've also brought my flying leopard bow." The disciples of these halls took out their treasures one after another. "Let's go." Lin Xian and the others also rose into the air. The crimson dragon followed from the side, bored. From time to time, it would catch a few small monsters, spit out dragon flames, and roast them. Puffed! Damn it! Why do rabbits smell like chicken? The crimson dragon spat its saliva wildly. With the stimulation of Lin Xian's reward, the warriors were abnormally excited, as if they had been injected with chicken blood. From tens of thousands of miles away, roars, tremors, and lights could be heard from time to time. Of course, there were also countless roars. Those were the roars of monsters. Buzz! An earth-shattering roar came from the front, shattering the clouds and the sky. Obviously, a powerful monster king had been alerted. Kill! Everyone attacked one after another, wanting to kill the powerful monster king. Boom! 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 The monster king was a giant python. Its body was a few thousand meters long when it stood up. Its huge head was extremely terrifying, spewing poisonous gas all over the sky. However, in the next moment, it exploded. In the sky, Yang Jian held a large purple bow with both hands and shot an arrow. He killed the terrifying demon king right away. The scene was extremely shocking. The sky full of bloody mist exploded, turning into a rain of blood that sprinkled over the forest. Meanwhile, Yang Jian stood in the sky like a god fiend, laughing loudly. Young Master Yang is mighty. Young Master Yang is awesome. The martial artists at the entrance of the three halls congratulated him, one after another. "That's nothing. It's just a 7-star monster king. I can kill it easily," Yang Jian said disdainfully. Then he looked at Lin Xian with a provocative gaze. However, to his disappointment, Lin Xian looked calm and did not show any signs of anger. Yang Jian should have been smug. That was because he had already crushed the new temple master, and the latter did not even dare to be angry. However, for some reason, when he saw Lin Xian's calm gaze and expression, Yang Jian felt as if he had punched cotton and could not exert any strength. "Pumph! Pretentious brat! Let's see how long you can endure." Yang Jian snorted coldly in his heart. He decided to increase the intensity of his provocation. He did not believe that the other party could remain so calm. Therefore, in the next moment, Yang Jian did not set off again. Instead, he turned around and looked into the distance. At the same time, he gathered all his strength and said in a clear voice, "Palace Master, what's wrong? Are you just going to watch and not do anything? Our brothers still want to see how good your skills are." As soon as he said that, everyone turned to look at him. Hu Yidao had already left Lin Xian's side to hunt the powerful monster kings. At this moment, only the Crimson Dragon and Xing Tian were left beside Lin Xian. When the two heard this, their faces turned gloomy. The Crimson Dragon, in particular, gnashed its teeth. It wanted nothing more than to grab the other party and roast it. Lin Xian, on the other hand, had a calm expression on his face. He smiled faintly. However, what's the point of just hunting demonic beasts? Why don't the two of us compete? As soon as these words came out, the surrounding people were shocked. Yang Jian was also overjoyed. He was just thinking about how to provoke the other party, but he did not expect the other party to take the initiative to say such words. He was really dead. He did not know how strong the other party was. However, he was very confident in his own strength. He was one of the top geniuses in the Immortal Palace, and there were not many people among the younger generation who could defeat him, even if the other party was the palace master. What could he do? If he was not strong enough, it would be useless. Today, he was going to suppress this new palace master in front of everyone. He was going to let everyone see who was the real young genius. Since the palace master has spoken, how can I dare to disobey? Yang Jian laughed heartily. He then flew ahead, bringing with him a cloud of smoke. Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes. He naturally had his reasons for doing so, because he felt that it was about time to make a move. When the other party was extremely arrogant, he would let the other party know what it meant by extreme joy begets sorrow. With a sway of his body, Lin Xian also followed him. He did not take out any weapon. Instead, he condensed all the spiritual power in his body and formed a big green bow. In terms of archery, Lin Xian did not think that he would lose to anyone. In fact, if he activated his heavenly secret divine eyes, these people would not even be able to catch a strand of hair. However, he was not here to show off his archery skills. Therefore, he was hiding most of his strength now, and his performance was ordinary, which was the standard of an ordinary genius. Buzz. In the distance, there was an angry roar. Then, a black demonic shadow rushed out. Endless demonic aura surged, and a huge creature rose into the sky. It was at least a few thousand meters tall. It spread its wings and covered the entire sky like dark clouds. It was a huge black eagle. It was extremely terrifying. It had 2 heads, and its wings seemed to be made of black iron. It was extremely sharp. With a slight shake, it shattered the void. The huge eagle was obviously angered. At this moment, it spread its arms and brought about endless demonic winds that swept in all directions. Not good. Run. Many warriors retreated and hid in the distance, drawing their bows and attacking. In an instant, countless rays of light flew into the distance like shooting stars. However, they were directly blasted away by the black, 2-headed demonic eagle's wings. The feathers on its body were abnormally sharp, and ordinary attacks could not penetrate them at all. It was a 7-star peak monster king, and it was extremely terrifying. For a moment, many people were flustered, and some were even injured. Good stuff. It's very nutritious after eating it. The Crimson Dragon looked at the black, 2-headed demonic eagle in the sky and salivated. He swung his dragon tail and was about to attack. However, he was stopped by Lin Xian. Lin Xian sent a voice transmission. Don't mess around. I'm planning something. Don't ruin it. It's easy if you want to eat demonic beasts. I'll get you dozens of them later. All right, kid. You said it yourself. You have to roast them for me personally. The Crimson Dragon was very concerned about Lin Xian's cooking. Hearing that, Lin Xian was speechless. He shook his head, but he still said helplessly, All right, you'd better stay put. I'm going to reel in the net soon. It seemed that someone was going to be unlucky. The Crimson Dragon grinned and watched from the side. The two of them were sending voice transmissions, so even Xing Tian did not know that Lin Xian was going to make a big move next. Lin Xian also raised his head and looked at the huge monster in the sky. Whoosh! He stopped and raised his hand to draw his bow. A green arrow flew out like a meteor into the sky. Boom! Boom! It collided fiercely and exploded on the huge monster. Terrifying waves of air rolled, and lightning fell from all directions. Boom! Boom! The attack directly pierced through the wings of the two-headed demonic eagle, bringing with it a large amount of blood mist. Seeing that, the martial artists of a mortal palace in the distance all looked over. When they saw that it was Lin Xian who attacked, they were all shocked. Meanwhile, the 500 martial artists exclaimed in surprise, "Temple Master is so powerful. This kid is quite strong." Ho Yichen and the others also flew into the sky and were shocked when they saw that. Chapter 2380. Indeed, they could see that the longbow in Lin Xian's hand was not a treasure weapon, but one condensed with spiritual power. In other words, he could still injure the terrifying Demon King with one arrow even without the enhancement of a weapon. Indeed, it was surprising. Not far away, Pei Yuan sneered. "That's nothing. It's just average. He's worse than me. He's far worse than Brother Yang. Just wait and see. This Demon King must have been killed by Brother Yang." Xiao Hui also sneered at the side. Sure enough, Yang Jian narrowed his eyes when he saw that scene. "You have some strength, but it's nothing in front of me." He snorted coldly and drew the purple longbow in his hand. The purple longbow had an extraordinary origin. It was refined from the tendons of a purple flood dragon and was extremely terrifying. It could split mountains and rivers with a light wave. It even carried a strong pressure. It could be said to be a peerless treasure. Sure enough, as soon as he drew the bow, the surrounding wind and clouds changed, and the world lost its color. There was even the phantom of a flood dragon appearing in the surroundings, roaring ferociously and letting out waves of roars. As soon as this phenomenon appeared, everyone was shocked. Heavens, Yang Jian is too terrifying. He's actually a flood dragon. What kind of longbow is that? Why do I feel that he's even more powerful than the Temple Master? Many people discussed animatedly. The martial artists of the three halls were even more proud. That's because young Master Yang is a top expert. Not everyone could compare to him. That's the purple demon flood dragon bow, right? I didn't expect Yang Jian to be so well prepared. Ho Yichen and the others also frowned. Even the light of the bows in their hands was somewhat dim. In the distance, Lin Xian's eyes flickered when he saw that scene. He did not expect Yang Jian to have a treasure in his hands. However, that was better. The higher the other party stood, the harder he would fall. The more intimidating it would be to everyone. However, he felt that it was not enough. The other party was arrogant, but he was not angry at all. He had to give the other party some anger. Impulse was the devil. Only by making the other party lose his mind could he do something outrageous. That way, it would be easier for him to make his move. Therefore, in the next moment, he also drew the green longbow in his hand, condensing countless green rays of light. The Temple Master was also about to make his move. Many people exclaimed. At this moment, they all stopped hunting and looked over. That was because they wanted to see if it was Yang Jian or their hall master who was more powerful. Yang Jian naturally saw this scene and immediately sneered disdainfully. Then he released his hand. The purple light turned into a shocking bolt of lightning and rushed out, bringing with it the power of wind and thunder, as well as a terrifying roar. "You want to compete with me?" He was too inexperienced. Yang Jian coldly snorted. However, he soon frowned, because the purple arrow he shot out was knocked away by someone in midair, deviating from its original trajectory. Originally, this arrow was aimed at the heart of the double-headed demon eagle in the sky. However, this time, it only hit the other party's wings, causing a slight injury. "Damn it, it's that guy!" Yang Jian looked at Lin Xian. That was because he realized that his opponent's arrow had hit him and deviated. "Oh, sorry, I bumped into you." Lin Xian shrugged, looking apologetic. However, in Yang Jian's eyes, This only made him even angrier. Damned guy! How dare he go against me? He's courting death. He was really angry. Originally, he wanted to show off his skills. He wanted to be arrogant in front of everyone. However, he did not expect that the other party would disrupt his plan. That was intolerable to him. At this moment, he did not care about Lin Xian's identity as the Hallmaster. That was because his character was arrogant and unscrupulous. He did not take anyone of the younger generation seriously. Therefore, now his eyes were bloodshot and his heart was burning with anger. Not far away, Pei Yuan and Xiao Hui also sneered when they saw this scene. Seriously, how dare he provoke Brother Yang? If he wasn't the Hallmaster, I'm sure he would be lying on the ground now. Just wait and see. Even if he's the Hallmaster, he'll be in trouble if he provokes Brother Yang. The two of them sneered. On the other side, Ho Yichen and the others were also puzzled. What's going on? Is the new Hallmaster going to fight back? That's interesting. As expected, Lin Xian acted as if he was going to fight back. He often fought with Yang Jian and even destroyed Yang Jian's attacks from time to time. This made Yang Jian's face turn red, and his lungs were about to explode. Yang Jian roared crazily. Purple qi surrounded his body, and the shadow of a dragon circled around him, making him look extraordinary. On the other side, the green light on Lin Xian's body dimmed, as if it was being suppressed. This scene was even more shocking. However, Lin Xian did not stop there. Instead, he continued attacking. The two of them kept attacking and attacked the two-headed demonic eagle together. There was even a small friction in the middle. After a few moves, both of them retreated. The two-headed demonic eagle was originally powerful, but under the joint attack of the two experts, it was riddled with scars and bloody. Holes appeared on its body. The blood dripped down and turned into a rain of blood, sprinkling over the forest. It's about time. Lin Xian looked at the dying two-headed demonic eagle and sneered in his heart. He did not attack again and instead retreated. The Hallmaster retreated. The crowd exclaimed. Pei Yuan, Xiao Hui, and the others also sneered. Sure enough, it was nothing in front of Brother Yang. Ho Yichen and the others were also surprised. Could it be that they could not defeat Yang Jian? The surrounding young martial artists exclaimed in surprise. Their eyes were filled with shock. Yang Jian, on the other hand, laughed loudly and seemed to be very proud. He was indeed overjoyed because the other party dared to go against him and even destroyed his attacks repeatedly. If the other party was not the Hallmaster, he would have slapped him to the ground. How could he allow the other party to compete with him? However, so what if the other party was the Hallmaster? Under his powerful pressure and energy, the other party was still forced to retreat. Thinking of this, he was even more proud. The purple demon Jiao Dragon Bow in his hand was constantly waving. Ray after ray of light flew out and bombarded the sky. It hit the demonic eagle's body, causing the other party's injuries to be even more terrifying. Boom! The last arrow directly hit the demonic eagle's head, causing the other party's head to explode, forming a storm in the sky. Boom! The huge corpse fell down and smashed hard on the ground. Large patches of forest collapsed, the nearby mountain peaks shattered, and the ground split open. Countless cracks appeared and spread in all directions. The dust in the surroundings turned into smoke and spread in all directions. It was killed. A peak 7-star demonic eagle king was killed by a single arrow. This Yang Jian was too terrifying. Could it be that he could already contend against an 8-star demonic eagle king? As expected of our Immortal Palace's top young expert, too terrifying. Chapter 2381. Everyone was discussing animatedly. Even Hui Dao frowned. He had to admit that Yang Jian was very strong. Brother Yang is mighty. That arrow just now was too cool. Xiao Hui and Pei Yuan also flew over and came to Yang Jian's side. Ha ha! Yang Jian laughed complacently, his face filled with pride. He descended to the ground and stood on the mountain-like corpse. Xiao Hui and Pei Yuan also followed him. On the other side, Lin Xian's figure flashed and also came to the demonic eagle's corpse. The demonic eagle's corpse was very big, enough for thousands of people to stand on. Therefore, it was not crowded at all. The surrounding people also stopped in midair, countless gazes looking forward. Temple Master, what do you think? Isn't Brother Yang more powerful? Xiao Hui sneered. On the other side, Pei Yuan also laughed and said, Yes, Temple Master, you lost the written test this time. Ha ha! Yang Jian was very proud, while Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. However, at this moment, Pei Yuan said again, Temple Master, I think you should give Brother Yang the title of the number 1 genius of Immortal Palace. Is there a need to give him that title? Pei Yuan said with a smile. How about this, Temple Master? You can make Brother Yang the Deputy Temple Master. In this way, we can do what you can't do for Brother Yang. It'll be a piece of cake. What? Hearing this, everyone was shocked, and their hearts beat wildly. Ho Yichen and the others' expressions also changed. These guys were too arrogant. However, the people of the 3 halls were very excited. If Yang Xiaohui became the Deputy Temple Master, they would also rise to the top. Lin Xian and the 500 people who came out gritted their teeth and looked gloomy, because they felt that the other party had gone too far. That was a good suggestion. After Yang Jian heard that, he was also very satisfied. Then he walked forward and patted Lin Xian's shoulder. What do you think? Agree. Let me be the Deputy Temple Master, and I'll guarantee your safety for the rest of your life. You don't have to worry about anything. As soon as those words came out, the world changed color. Everyone was shocked. It seemed that Yang Jian's ambition was not small. He actually wanted to fight for the supreme position. Xing Tian's face was gloomy. The other party had gone too far. He was about to say something. However, he was stunned. This was because Lin Xian had also spoken. At this moment, Lin Xian's face was completely cold, and his eyes were filled with a biting cold light. He said coldly, Take your hand away. Who told you to pat my shoulder? Do you have the right to film me? What? Hearing this, everyone was stunned. They couldn't believe their ears. Even Pei Yuan and Xiao Hui were dumbfounded. Then they screamed out loud. What did you say? Humph! What did I say? Lin Xian sneered. What do you think I said? Brat, don't go too far. Pei Yuan said coldly. Lin Xian shouted coldly. How dare you? As soon as this voice came out, it was like a clap of thunder that resounded in all directions. Pei Yuan and Xiao Hui were shocked. They did not expect the new hall master, who had always swallowed his anger and kept his silence, to erupt with such great power. Needless to say, this sound really scared the 2 of them. However, Yang Jian's face turned completely gloomy. Brat, you dare to scold me? His expression was cold. Lin Xian looked at him, and his eyes flickered. What did you call me? I'm the hall master of Immortal Palace, and you're just a martial artist of a hall. When you see me, you have to respectfully call me hall master. Don't tell me you're so arrogant that you've forgotten the rules of Immortal Palace. Hall master? You're also called hall master? Yang Jian was really angry. When had he ever been scolded by a brat like this? Moreover, the other party's strength was clearly inferior to his. That was intolerable. How can someone like you be the hall master? You're so weak. If it weren't for the old hall master supporting you, you probably wouldn't even be able to enter Immortal Palace. How dare you? Yang Jian, are you trying to rebel? Seeing this scene, everyone was in an uproar. At the back, Xing Tian also shouted coldly, I'm rebelling. What can you do to me? Yang Jian shouted angrily. He was really mad. As soon as those words came out, the surrounding people were also in an uproar. They were extremely shocked. The other party actually dared to say such disgraceful words. He was really insolent. Lin Xian sneered. This was exactly what he had been waiting for. Buzz. The great dragon sword soul in his body circulated crazily. Then it erupted with terrifying energy. Lin Xian stretched out a green dragon hand and slapped forward. Bang! Yang Jian was instantly slapped to the ground. The terrifying power shattered the void. The 1,000-meter-long beast carcass under their feet instantly split open, turning into countless blood chi that scattered in all directions. Everyone was stunned when they saw this scene. Their eyes widened. They could not believe it. Even Xing Tian was stunned. He did not expect Lin Xian to suddenly attack. Pei Yuan and Xiao Wei, who were at the side, were dumbfounded. Ah, damn brat. How dare you hit me? Yang Jian roared crazily. His expression was abnormally cold. Killing intent quickly emerged from his body. That was because he could not tolerate it at all. How dare the other party attack him? Furthermore, he had even injured him. To be honest, the palm just now was too sudden. He did not expect the other party to attack him. Therefore, he was completely unprepared and was slapped to the ground by the other party. Ah, I'm going to kill you, he roared crazily. Terrifying power surged out of his body as he wanted to counterattack. Bang! However, as soon as he stood up, he was slapped down. The terrifying green dragon hand slapped his body, directly shattering half of his bones. Blood spurted out crazily. Cracks that were thousands of meters long appeared on the ground and spread in all directions. Not only that, the green dragon hand did not disappear this time. Instead, it pressed down on Yang Jian's body like a green mountain, completely suppressing him. Countless sword chi flew out from the green dragon hand and entered Yang Jian's body to seal him. Brother Yang! Pei Yuan and Xiao Hui cried out in alarm and kept retreating. Damn it, let go of our brother Yang. The people of the 3 halls also roared angrily. They all pulled out their swords and roared, "How dare you touch our young Master Yang?" Seeing that a great battle was about to break out, Xing Tian roared, "Who dares to attack? Are you all thinking of rebelling?" He was a peerless expert. At this moment, his voice carried unparalleled power, causing the blood in everyone's body to surge. In an instant, everyone was stunned in midair. Yes, the other party was the master of a mortal palace. Regardless of whether he was strong or not, the other party was still the master of a mortal palace. They actually dared to attack the master of a mortal palace. Even if they succeeded, they would probably end up in a miserable state. At the thought of this, everyone retreated. Lin Xian sneered and ignored the people of the 3 halls. Then he stared at Pei Yuan and Xiao Wei. Why? Do the 2 of you want to attack me too? Being stared at coldly by Lin Xian, their hearts beat wildly. Then they shook their heads and did not dare to do so. However, at this moment, Pei Yuan gritted his teeth and said, "But Brother Yang is the son of the 3rd Hall Master." There was a hint of threat in his words. Chapter 2382. When Lin Xian heard that, he sneered in disdain. The son of the 3rd Hall Master? So what? Even if the 3rd Hall Master was here, he wouldn't dare to do anything to me. Brat, you're dead meat. Let go of me. I won't let you go. Below, Yang Jian roared crazily. The endless power in his body wanted to attack, but it was suppressed. He could not use any of his strength. I'm dead meat. You still dare to threaten me now? Lin Xian sneered. You don't know what's good for you. Do you know that you've committed a heinous crime? Insubordination, attacking a temple master, openly rebelling. You deserve to die for each of these crimes. Right now, I can kill you directly. Lin Xian's voice was sonorous and powerful. It was like the hammer of Thor, ruthlessly smashing into everyone's hearts. Everyone's faces were filled with fear, and their hearts were beating wildly. The reason for that was because they discovered that what Lin Xian said was the truth. If he really wanted to punish Yang Jian according to Immortal Palace's rules, he would really be dead meat. However, everyone knew that Yang Jian's words were definitely said out of anger. He wouldn't really rebel. Sure enough, when he heard that, Yang Jian vomited blood. He was pressed to the ground and roared crazily. Damn brat, you dare to condemn me? You dare to kill me? You dare to touch me? Do you believe that my father won't forgive you? People of the three halls, come here. Save me. Yes. Hearing that, the people of the three halls came over one after another. Buzz. However, when they were halfway there, a huge blade light slashed down from the sky, splitting the ground in front of them. A huge canyon appeared, blocking everyone's path. The remaining biting cold aura on the ground made everyone's scalp go numb. Whoever dared to take a step forward would die. Yidao descended from the sky. He was already following Lin Xian. How could he allow these people to rebel? Damn it! Young Master Yang didn't commit any crime. Why should he be arrested? He didn't commit any crime? Are you blind? Lin Xian snorted coldly. Xing Tian, read Immortal Palace's rules. Yes. Xing Tian walked out and said loudly, Immortal Palace's rules. First, those who rebel and betray will be beheaded. Second, those who offend their superiors will be beheaded. Third, those who disregard the rules of the palace will be executed. After 3 consecutive slashes, countless large cracks appeared in the void, as one black hole after another appeared behind Xing Tian. Very good. Lin Xian said in a low voice. Yang Jian had committed all 3 crimes, and his crimes were punishable by death. Unforgivable. Now, it was time for the execution. His cold voice spread in all directions, shocking everyone. At this moment, these people were all stunned. They didn't expect that things would take such a huge turn. After all, it was Yang Jian who had been overbearing all this while. The new palace master was pressured to the point that he could not breathe. But who would have thought that in the blink of an eye, the situation would change? The powerful and arrogant Yang Jian was pressed to the ground, unable to move at all. The new palace master, who had been silent all this while, now displayed an unparalleled domineering aura. He even wanted to kill Yang Jian. At the side, Pei Yuan and Xiao Hui's faces were filled with fear and anger. In the distance, Ho Yichen and the others were also shocked. However, among them, someone said, just wait and see. At most, we'll just punish him. We won't really kill him. That was for sure. It seemed that the new palace master wanted to establish his authority, but killing Yang Jian was not worth it. After all, he was the son of the 3rd hall master. If he killed him, the 3rd hall master would definitely go crazy. Pei Yuan and Xiao Hui, as well as the martial artists at the 3rd hall, naturally knew this. Therefore, they pleaded for mercy. Palace master, young Master Yang was just playing with you. Yes, young Master Yang was muddle-headed and said those words. He had no intention of rebelling. Palace master, please let young Master Yang go. The people at the 3rd hall also cried out. As for the others, they were all stunned. Playing with him? Lin Xian sneered. Who is he to play with me? What do you think the palace master is? Someone you can play with? Or do you not have me in your heart at all? Lin Xian's cold voice sounded again. His eyes were like 2 sharp divine swords sweeping across these people. Buzz. These people's hearts beat wildly, and they felt a chill in their hearts. They did not dare to say anything else. Below, Yang Jian roared crazily. Boy, you'd better let me go. I can pretend that this didn't happen. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Don't forget that my father is the 3rd hall master. I said, Execute him. What? In the distance, the 500 people were stunned. Even Hui Dao and Xing Tian were stunned. What's going on? Are we really going to kill Yang Jian? Ha ha! Boy, did you see that? No one dares to kill me. Seeing this, Xing Tian laughed wildly again, and his eyes were full of disdain. Indeed, his identity was extraordinary. The third hall master was an extremely powerful and peerless powerhouse among the 9 hall masters. As the son of the third hall master, no one dared to provoke him. No one wants to kill him? I'll do it myself. Lin Xian snorted coldly, and his body emitted a strong aura. He waved his hand, and the azure dragon hand grabbed Yang Jian and suspended him in the air. The surrounding sword chi formed chains and nailed him to the ground. Ah, damn it. Get out of my way. Yang Jian roared crazily. However, the sword chi formed by the great dragon sword soul had already sealed his body and suppressed all his strength, so Yang Jian could not break free at all. Insubordination. Rebellion. Disrespect. You will be punished by 3 knives and 6 lashes, and beheading. Lin Xian said coldly. Crack. He flipped his palm, and a blue saber appeared in his hand. Then he looked up and stared at Yang Jian. How dare you kill me? Try it. You're dead meat if you kill me. Yang Jian yelled crazily in the air. However, at the next moment his voice stopped and he even let out a miserable cry. That was because the blue saber had directly pierced into his body and came out from his back. Poof. Blood spurted out and dyed the void red. Yang Jian screamed crazily in the air, and his face was distorted. Everyone was stunned by this scene. What? He really killed him? How dare he kill him? At that moment, Pei Yuan, Hou Chen, and the others were full of horror. Even Hui Dao and Xing Tian were shocked. Damn it, are you trash? Kill him. Yang Jian roared crazily. Those people in the third hall recovered from the shock and gasped, Young Master Yang. At that moment, one of them could not help but rush forward. He was also a young genius in the third hall. His body swayed and rushed into the air. A long sword appeared in his hand, and he slashed down in an attempt to save Yang Jian. Bang! Poof! However, at the next moment his body was split in half from the middle. His body fell to the ground. Lin Xian slowly lowered the saber in his hand. His cold voice sounded. Whoever wants to be Yang Jian's accomplice, step forward. He was killed with a single slash. Everyone was stunned again. That's a young expert. He's very powerful. Although he's not as powerful as Yang Jian and the others, he's still terrifying. He was killed with a single slash. They could not believe it. Chapter 2383. Heavens, why is the Temple Master so powerful? That slash had stunned the people from the 3 halls. Yang Jian's pupils constricted, and he screamed, Damn you, brat, you've been hiding your strength. He realized that Lin Xian was much more powerful than when he had fought with him previously. This caused his heart to turn cold. He felt that it might be a trap for him. In the next moment, he screamed, Let me go if you dare. I want to fight you one-on-one. I can kill you with one slap. Poof. However, Lin Xian ignored him. He took out another golden long saber and stabbed it into Yang Jian's body. The third purple long saber was also stabbed into Yang Jian's body. There were 3 sabers stabbed into Yang Jian's body, and his blood stained the ground. This scene shocked everyone. They didn't dare to believe it. Pei Yuan, Xiao Hui, Hou Chen, and the others were also shocked. They did not expect the new temple master to be so ruthless. Damn you, brat. Kill me if you dare. Otherwise, I won't let you go. Humph. Lin Xian snorted coldly. The punishment of 3 slashes was over. Next would be 6 lashes. At this point, he waved his hand, and countless lightning bolts gathered in his hand, forming a lightning whip. Crack! The lightning whip lashed out, lashing out at Yang Jian's body. His skin and flesh were torn open, and even his bones were exposed. Yang Jian's body was surrounded by lightning, and the pain almost made him pass out. Kill him! Kill him! I'll take responsibility for anything that happens. Yang Jian roared crazily. However, Xiao Hui and Pei Yuan kept retreating, and their faces were full of fear. What is this? I don't dare to move. Otherwise, they would end up like Yang Jian. However, the people from the 3 halls were furious. They could not stand the fact that their young master was being tortured like this. In an instant, 3 experts rushed out. Let go of our young master. Although they were angry, they were not stupid. They did not dare to attack Lin Xian directly. After all, Lin Xian was the temple master. Thus, they directly charged forward with the intention of saving Yang Jian. As long as they could save Yang Jian, they did not need to care about the rest. However, just as the 3 of them were in midair, Lin Xian snorted coldly and slashed the lightning whip in his hand. Poof, poof, poof. The 3 of them were cut in half at the waist. Their bodies were surrounded by countless streaks of lightning. They were charred black and emitted white smoke. The corpse fell to the ground like a clap of thunder, fiercely striking everyone's hearts. If you're not afraid of death, come at me, Lin Xian scoffed. Then he waved the lightning whip again and lashed it at Yang Jian. Yang Jian's crazed screams were extremely miserable, causing everyone's scalp to go numb. But no one dared to make a move. The sons of the great halls were extremely shocked. The other martial artists were even more stunned. Although the people from the 3 halls were furious, they didn't dare to act rashly. After all, there were still 3 charred corpses in front of them. Very quickly, the 6 lashes were finished. Yang Jian's entire body was charred black, and there was not a single spot on his body that was unharmed. Not only that, but his internal organs were also seriously injured. It could be said that Yang Jian had never suffered such a serious injury since he was young. I'll kill you. I'll definitely kill you. Yang Jian's eyes were bloodshot, and he was in a daze. He opened his mouth and roared. Every time he spoke, endless black smoke would rise. His entire body was about to be roasted by the lightning. The 3 slashes and 6 whips were all over. Next, it was time to decapitate him. As he spoke, the lightning whip in Lin Xian's hand disappeared. He slowly pulled out the ancient dragon abyss sword. A sharp aura surged from his body and swept through the 9 heavens. What? Decapitate him? Was he really going to kill Yang Jian? Everyone's hearts were beating wildly in shock. Although Yang Jian was injured by the 3 slashes and 6 whips, his life was not in danger. With a genius like Yang Jian and the treasures in the hands of the 3rd Hall Master, he could recover very quickly. However, decapitation might not be the case. Yang Jian was directly killed. Who in the world could bring bones back to life? Even the great emperors could not do it. If he died, there would be nothing left. Therefore, everyone was stunned when they heard about decapitation. No way. He's really going to do it? Ho Yichen and the other hall masters were shocked and could not believe it. Pei Yuan and Xiao Hui trembled, as if they had seen a devil. How dare he? Isn't he afraid of the 3rd Hall Master's rage? One had to know that the 3rd Hall Master was ranked in the top 3 among the 9 Hall Masters. Moreover, his personality was extremely violent. In addition, there were countless elite powerhouses in the 3 halls. If the 3rd Hall Master was angry, it would definitely be an unimaginable nightmare. What? Kid, you dare to kill me? You dare to kill me? Yang Jian was also trembling with anger. What kind of joke is this? Who in the entire Immortal Palace would dare to kill him? This time, Hui Dao was also stunned. Even Xing Tian could not remain calm. To be honest, he did not expect Lin Xian to really have the intention to kill. To be honest, he was very supportive of Lin Xian's show of power. After all, no one cared much about this new hallmaster. In fact, they even disdained him. Therefore, he felt that Lin Xian really needed to show his power. The effect of using Yang Jian's Li Wei was also the best. The previous 3 knives and 6 whips had already been effective. Didn't they see that even the hall masters' faces were full of fear? However, he did not expect that Lin Xian was unwilling to stop and still wanted to carry out the final execution. How could he know that this was already decided by Lin Xian a long time ago? This Yang Jian was very arrogant and provoked him time and time again. He even wanted to be the deputy hall master. He even wanted to replace him as the hall master. How could Lin Xian tolerate this? If he did not kill Yang Jian today, no one would take him seriously in the future. Therefore, Yang Jian would definitely die. Why, are you surprised? Do you think I don't dare to kill you? Lin Xian snorted coldly. What you have committed is a capital crime. I have 100 justifiable reasons to kill you. Even if you are killed, the 3rd hall master can't say no. Everyone was terrified. This method is too terrifying. Indeed, if he was killed according to Immortal Palace's rules, no one would be able to find fault with it. However, with the 3rd hall master's personality, even if there was nothing wrong with him, he would still go crazy. They did not dare to imagine how chaotic Immortal Palace would be if Yang Jian was really dead. Whoosh! Lin Xian raised the ancient dragon abyss sword in his hand. No, in front. The martial artists in the 3rd hall were stunned. Yang Jian's previous torture had already made them angry and frightened. However, they could still tolerate it. However, it was different now. Yang Jian was actually going to be killed. If Yang Jian was really dead, they would not be able to live either. Therefore, they rushed over crazily. Humph! Do you really think I don't dare to kill you? Offending your superiors and collaborating with Yang Jian to rebel, you have all committed a capital crime. Lin Xian snorted coldly and slashed out with the ancient dragon abyss sword in his hand. Chapter 2384. Lin Xianxian did not hold back at all with the sword strike. The power of the great dragon sword soul was completely unleashed. Together with the power of the ancient sword, it slashed forward. The martial artists from the 3 halls were all shrouded. Boom! There was an earth-shattering roar, and the sky split open in an instant. Terrifying cracks appeared on the ground, and countless sword chi pierced through the surroundings. The terrifying aura sent chills down everyone's spines. At this moment, the disciples of the halls and the surrounding young martial artists were all stunned. Isn't this sword too terrifying? Although it was not aimed at them, the aftershock made their hearts tremble. Damn it, what level had the new temple master reached? They had an unfathomable feeling. After the sword slashed down and the sword chi disappeared, these people were even more stunned. Dozens of elite martial artists and young geniuses from the 3 halls were all killed. What a terrifying sword chi! Everyone was horrified. Yang Jian's pupils constricted. He did not expect Lin Xian's strength to be far beyond his expectations. Thinking of this, a touch of fear appeared in his eyes. No, damn it, you can't kill me. Put me down, or my father will never forgive you. No one can save you, not even your father. Lin Xian's eyes were cold, and the ancient dragon abyss sword in his hand slashed forward. No, Yang Jian was terrified, and he screamed crazily. Everyone's eyelids twitched, and they could not believe it. Poof! Blood spurted out, and a head flew up. When the sword came out, the person was killed. What? Killed? He was really killed. Yang Jian was really killed. At this moment, Ho Ichen and the other hall masters' hearts beat wildly, and their faces were full of shock. Pei Yuan and Xiaohui were even trembling. Although the two of them were arrogant before, they were terrified now. The other martial artists in the distance were also shocked, and they looked at Lin Xian in horror. Hui Dao was stunned. Even Xing Tian was in a daze, and he could not believe it. Lin Xian killed Yang Jian. The third hall master would go crazy. Xing Tian opened his mouth and wanted to say something. However, Lin Xian withdrew the ancient dragon abyss sword and shouted coldly, "Xing Tian, here." Xing Tian came to his senses and stepped forward. Lin Xian said with a heavy voice, "Use my orders to inform Immortal Palace that Yang Jian was plotting a rebellion and was killed by me on the spot." "Yes," Xing Tian said respectfully. The others continued to hunt, and the reward for the first place remained unchanged. Whoosh! The others hurriedly left and flew in all directions. They were not keen on hunting, but wanted to escape from this place as soon as possible. The reason for that was because the atmosphere there was simply too oppressive. Lin Xian's terrifying aura and pressure made it hard for them to breathe. This was especially true for Pei Yuan and Xiaohui, who immediately ran away. What kind of joke was this? Even Yang Jian had been killed. If they dared to act presumptuously, they would most likely be killed with a single slash. The others were also terrified, but the 500 people that Lin Xian had subdued were incomparably excited. They clenched their fists. Great! Originally, they were still feeling indignant for the hall master, thinking that he was too tolerant. Now, it seemed that this was not the case at all. The new palace master's strength and decisiveness had far exceeded their expectations. If they followed such a person, they would definitely become outstanding in the future. Hu Yidao also walked over. He looked at Lin Xian with a trace of awe in his eyes. "Young master, Yang Jian's corpse? What's the use of a traitor's corpse?" Lin Xian snorted coldly. "Just leave it here." Lin Xian glanced at him and then no longer paid attention to him. "Why? Don't you want to be the first place? Hurry up and go hunting." Lin Xian waved his hand. "Yes." Hu Yidao cupped his fists, then flew into the sky and flew into the distance. This kid was so satisfying. Damn it, he had been unhappy with this guy for a long time. Getting rid of him was really too satisfying. The crimson dragon at the side waved its dragon claws and said fiercely, "If you didn't do it, I would have done it long ago." Damn it. Who does this guy think he is? How dare he behave so atrociously above us? Xing Tian's eyelids were also twitching wildly. However, his face was still full of worry. Although we have shown our power, we have completely offended the third hall master. So what? Lin Xian said indifferently. He had offended the third hall master and completely subdued the entire Immortal Palace. It was not a loss for him. Besides, he was the master of Immortal Palace. How could he be humiliated like this? Would the previous old hall master be provoked like this? Would he tolerate such a thing? Xing Tian stopped talking. What a joke! Who dared to provoke him? Even the 6 guardians had to be respectful. If they were to jump up and down like Yang Jian, they would have been slapped to death. Now, he did not say anything. Since things had already happened, he would think of a countermeasure. After all, he was sent by the previous old hall master to protect Lin Xian. And now, he could see that this new young master was very powerful. Not only was he powerful, but he was also one of the top existences in the younger generation. His temperament and means were also extremely terrifying. To put it bluntly, he was also a master who would not be bullied. Thinking of this, Xing Tian felt a little excited. Lin Xian was still very young, but he was already so powerful. If he grew up in the future, he might dominate the world like the previous old hall master. Lin Xian did not participate in what happened next. He floated in the void and looked into the distance. Behind him were the Crimson Dragon and Xing Tian. Soon, the afterglow of the setting sun arrived. In the end, Hui Dao was the one who won. Ho Yichen and the other sons of the hall masters were not interested at all. They kept thinking about what happened to Yang Jian, and some of them even wanted to run away. They wished that time would pass faster. Therefore, they did not hunt at all. The people of the other halls were also preoccupied. Therefore, the ones who really hunted were the 500 people recruited by Lin Xian and Hui Dao. Of course, Hui Dao was the most powerful among them. Looking at the piles of demonic beast corpses, Lin Xian nodded with satisfaction. It seemed that these people were indeed very powerful. They were indeed the young talents of a mortal palace. What made him even more satisfied was the attitude of these people. These people looked at him with a trace of awe and fear in their eyes. This was the effect he wanted. Otherwise, as the hall master, how could he lead the heroes in the future? Ruzalong, pick a few that you like and bring them back for you to barbecue. Well, Ben Huang will not stand on ceremony. The Crimson Dragon grinned and glanced at the corpses of the demonic beasts. He picked a few delicious ones and carried them over. Okay, let's go back. In addition to the first place, the second and third place will also be rewarded. The rest of you should cultivate well. I will not treat you unfairly. Lin Xian's words were directed at the 500 people. Thank you, Hall Master. The 500 people were excited. Next, Lin Xian and the others left Xixia Mountain and returned. Hu Yidao and the 500 people went back with him. Ho Yichen, Pei Yuan, and the others did not go in at all. Instead, they returned to their respective halls. You're tuning in to the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.